Not you just yet. There we go. We are here. The minute is upon us. The hour has arrived, as have the years. And this is my 2-year anniversary. Because it was tomorrow, 2 years ago, when I first released my first actual real video. Well, not real video. The debut video. The debut video. We'll go with that video. Because I guess technically there was like 2 weeks before when I did the first, hey, I know what's going to be in the 10th edition box based on the trailer of the 10th edition 40k trailer. And then it was. With minor differences. So that works. Yes, happy birthday, my channel. You were here from the beginning, you poor thing. Yeah, it's nice to have survived for 2 years. Because starting out, when I first did this, I was like, this isn't going to work. But it might be fun for a bit, and I can't stop thinking about how much of a good idea it would be, so I'm going to do it. And then I did it. And it seems to be working okay. I exist in the YouTuber sphere. People know who I am. I am the vampire that does the Battle Sister stuff. And the Gene Stealer cult stuff. And some other stuff. Like rules things. Where I get annoyed at them because they should be better. Especially terrain, where the only terrain that works in this game system are the ruins. And every terrain board being ruins is tedious. Well, Auspex Tactics knows my name because I collabed with him. And also, yes, he does keep saying every time there's a Sisters video, is this going to work? I've been messaging him recently because he keeps thinking Celestian Sacresants are amazing. And I think one of them hurt him at some point. Like, said something mean about his mother. Because he can't seem to get over this idea that Celestian Sacresants have to be great. And I keep trying them, and they're not. Thank you, Wen Bentan. Yay! Happy 2nd anniversary to me. Yes, I know, don't forget the Deathwatch stuff. The people who need the Deathwatch stuff will not let me forget I do Deathwatch. Yeah, Sacresants are fine. We will come to the Sacresants. I know there's the whole tactic of, yeah, you can get 10 Sacresants and a Hospitaller, and it's kind of difficult to take out, and then you do it 3 times, but don't do it 3 times. We'll do that one first. When we get to the tier list, we'll do that one first. 1 squad is fine. I don't go beyond 1 squad, like, ever. But Auspex Tactics was thinking, okay, yeah, Celestian Sacresants are going to be great in the Champions of Faith. And I'm saying, Paragon Warsuits, Paragon Warsuits. If it's not a Paragon Warsuit, you do not give it a Miracle Dice in the Champions of Faith. The only real answer is 60 Battle Sisters. Shield Girls are fine. Toughness 4 and 2 wounds. You're probably describing a Crusader. They're toughness 3 and 2 wounds. So let's just have Crusaders. They can only be taken in squads of 4. We will, of course, be including the Legends units because there is absolutely no reason not to. And I don't know if I want to rant early about Legends or if we should wait till the end. Maybe I'll get it out of my way now. I'm not sure. Thank you, Taco Joe. Oh yes, I should mention. In the description, there is a link to Ko-fi, which is where you can put money in so it fills up the bar at the top left of the screen. That is the 2-year anniversary tip money, which has the arbitrary amount of £365. I am not bothered if that doesn't get totally filled. It isn't a, well, I've completely wasted my time as a streamer, I have to go home now, that's it, we have to delete the channel because I didn't meet the requirement of that. Because it's an arbitrary goal. Arbitrary goal. Right, I'll add Taco Joe's $20 US. I don't know what that is in pounds. Conversion. 20 USD to human money. £15. That can be added. Let's see if that updates. It might update. I've only gone 2 years yet because I wanted the power of Nagash. Maybe. Oh, please start clamoring for Exodites. Well, they haven't listened to me yet on hey, can we have Celestians with guns? So that's not happened yet. We thought it was going to be the kill team. It was not the kill team. Oh, thank you, Lord Pycrust, for the 1073. I'm going to get my head out the way so people can actually see these. Layering. This is, no, I can't have it layered. Okay. Okay, that's many popping ups. Thank you for all the monies. Oh, Super Ray for Novitiate Gang represent. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of ways to do the Celestian Sacresants. We'll get to them. Can you send me gold bars? No, I don't know what to do with gold. I'll probably end up using it as paint, like Retributor paint. That's probably what it ended up being. I was going to say a thing. I was partway through a sentence. What was the sentence? Doesn't matter. No. Do I want an Emperor's Children app code? I have a person who usually... There's like a big gaming group. There's always someone who gets the app code thing. I'll be fine for now. Thank you, random task. Although I do have a game coming up on Tuesday against Emperor's Children, I guess it wouldn't hurt. If you want to message me on Discord, that's appreciated. Because you don't use the apps. Very good, very good. Yeah, Games Workshop doesn't listen to me about Celestian Sacresants with guns. That's what I was going to say. And the new kill team is not Celestians with guns, even though we really wanted it to be Celestians with guns. And so people were mildly disappointed about the kill team release of Blood and Zeal, which is £80-ish. So that's £40 for 10 models. So that's £4 a model. That's a lot. That is a lot. That is like $6 or $7 American. Yeah, I don't like that. So, that is now available to pre-order. So if you use the links in the description, then lower down, below the Ko-Fi one, we have the discounted models for United States, UK and Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. Yeah, I'm still working on Central Europe stuff. It's always a thing I'm working on. Sometimes I get someone and then it's like, doesn't work. Or the margins are not what we want, or an agreement can't be reached, and it's just a lot of back and forth talking that ends up going nowhere, which is mildly frustrating because that's time I could have spent on videos, but never mind. I have recently fought against the Grot Megatank. The Grot Megatank is stupidly silly. It is 10 rapid-fire, like, strength 5 guns, so that's 20 shots when you're in, like, 9-inch range, and it had 2 Scorchers, and it had Grot Zukas and blast things. The Overwatch was horrifying. It was that alone. It was just a tide of Gretchen. Yeah, the tunnels. We've got to have a tunnel every live stream. Well, every Games Workshop live stream. There may be an Adepticon reveal. It may be happening at like 5 a.m. UK time, so I'm not super keen to stay up for that. But maybe I can do something shortly afterwards, in the morning. If I'm awake, when I'm awake. Okay, so we're talking like midday at the earliest. But it could happen. Alright. What are people painting at the moment? Because with the idea of Mercury and gold, I'm thinking, I could make them into paint. Maybe not the Mercury. Don't make the Mercury into paint. But the gold can be gold paint. That works. I'm painting some of the new Eldar stuff. I got some of the Fire Dragons. I have a Wraith Lord from the Combat Patrol magazine, which is in the UK, has got as far as the Eldar stuff, and now it's going on to Chaos stuff. If you're in the United States, then it has just started, and you're probably on the Space Marine stuff and Tyranid stuff. Templars Heavy Intercessors. Very good. That's not very Templar themed, but it works. Someone's got to sit at the back. Yeah, I'm also desperate to know the new Kill Team 40k rolls, so we'll see what happens there. Painting Jackal soon. Ooh, 3D printed Sisters of Silence. Oh, and I also got some Storm Guardians, because I really like Storm Guardians, and they were a pain to get back in 3rd edition when I really was into Eldar for quite a while. Got the Ulthri stuff, and then it kind of dropped off slowly. They were fun in like 6th edition, 7th edition with allied rules, do a bit of Ynnari, do a bit of Dark Eldar and Eldar in the same army because that was totally allowed. then it just hasn't been as good. They seem pretty fun at the moment. I played them a couple of times last edition. I've played them a little bit more this edition. Having more units is fun, and I like the detachments. I've kind of gotten tired of the Chaos Space Marine detachments. There's nothing where I'm like, yes, this is my detachment for all things forever, and same for the Imperial Guard. I've played, I think, all of the detachments now. Yeah, I have. I've played all of them. And there's none that I desperately like. There's nothing that's like, yeah, that's the way I want to run it. Combined Regiment is okay. Oh, it's okay, random task. You can just send the message anyway, and I can accept it later. Yeah, I just get a ping saying I have a message waiting, so I will get to that. Thank you. Yeah, Kill Team is unfortunate because Kill Team is its own game and should be its own game to be enjoyed as its own thing. However, Games Workshop has said every faction gets a new unit, a new character, whatever it is, they get something new throughout the year. Referring, of course, to Kill Team. Because when your Codex comes around, you get one character model, like the Battle Sisters did, like the Genestealer Cult did, like the Necrons did. If you don't get that, then with Kill Team, you have to rely on the Kill Team boxes to be your new 40k unit, even if it's an updated unit. And then when you pay for it, it's like, oh yeah, this is for a whole game system, so the card bits that come in it means they charge you an extra, like, 20%. Yeah. Drukhari getting a remake Court of the Archon kit would be cool. I think more likely they'll just send them to Legends and remake something else. Hopefully not the regular Cabalites, because I really like the regular Cabalites as they are. A lot of things just don't need updating. Although building this Wraithlord, the instructions are very limited. It's almost Lego instructions, where it just has a sequence of images. Back when they did that 2016-ish. It was about the same time they did Resin. So it must be earlier than that. It must be about 2012. It's a lot simpler, a lot more toned down, and there's no numbered parts. It's not like, oh yeah, add part 56 here. It's just, you see that bit that's kind of like this? Yeah, that's a shoulder piece. This is a thigh piece, the incredibly similar shaped part. It's like, ooh, are they? All right, okay. I hope the Thousand Suns get even more Zangors. That's how it'll go. Oh my. Okay. So let's get into the topic of today, since we definitely have plenty of people interested. Right, the Battle Sisters and the meta of the Battle Sisters. In the next balance patch, which is going to come in June, I'm expecting a few more rollbacks on a lot more things. I'm expecting a little bit more points drops on a lot of things for the Battle Sisters, Adepta Sororitas generally, because we're still not going to be performing that well. The recent results of tournaments and things, which there's only been 3 major tournaments, then we're seeing I don't know. We're not doing great. There's no big change. There's still not that many Sisters players. There's a few more, but then is it people just trying it and they're not going to get back into it? We're not sure. No, I don't think the meta is 30 Celestians. That sounds like a fun army. You only have to remember 3 or 4 unit rules. You could manage that. Yeah. Hello, Ulterior Warren, the new Sisters player. Right, there may be, possibly, changes to the existing detachments as they want to go, let's make these a bit better. Now, what they've done in the recent balance patch is say, okay, Repentia, Arco-Flagellants, Seraphim, and Zephyrim are cheaper. This is to get you to play the Army of Faith and the Penitent Host. If they don't work, then we may see some more rules improvements to detachments. Occasionally, Games Workshop has done that. Very occasionally. However, what they may do instead is say, hey, Battle Sisters, you get another new detachment, bringing us to 6 different detachments, I think. Army of Faith, Hallowed Martyrs, Penitent Host, Bringers of Flame, Champions of Faith, and an extra one. Yeah. And then it's just, okay, here's a new thing. Cope. That's almost what the orcs have had to do recently. With, hey, you get a really cool DACA thing, which goes on top of your really cool tactical brigade, which has been cut down quite a bit. Yeah. So we may get one of the new quarterly detachments. We'll have to see what happens. I don't think they're going to buff melter guns. Yeah, if they can go for a simple solution, or the lazy solution, they will go for the easiest one to implement, the one that requires the fewest number of changes to the app, to the rules. They'll go with that. Champions of Faith is okay. It just was more obviously meant to work with the previous version of Miracle Dice. So Miracle Dice has had a change, so you get one per battle round at the start of the battle round, not one per player turn, but we are back to having one per unit dying as the unit dies. You don't have to wait till the end of the phase anymore. It isn't one per phase maximum. So if you lose 3 units in the shooting phase and 2 units in the charge phase because of stratagems, and then 1 in the fight phase, that is 6 Miracle Dice you get immediately after those units die. If you lose your Celestian Sacresants and then the Hospitaller is killed at the same time, that is 2 Miracle Dice because they split immediately on death and then the other one dies. They both generate a Miracle Dice. Oh, gotta be... Well, I don't know about there never being a Bloody Rose detachment. They may indeed do a Bloody Rose detachment. The Champions of Faith is quite Bloody Rose. It's very combat focused. I'm thinking some of the Champions of Faith. Some of the stratagems, yeah, you've got special pile-in, extra strength, extra AP in combat to the Heart of Heresy stratagem. It is quite Bloody Rose. And I don't know about paying for 9th edition sins because... Oh no, you might be right, because the Crusher Stampede was very good for the Tyranids in the 9th edition when it came out in the White Dwarf. Then, when we've had the Crusher Stampede, Behemoth-style themed thing in the Tyranids Codex, it's not that great and did need a bump up. You got Miracle Dice in your opponent's movement phase. Yeah, there are some stratagems, well, some abilities as well that activate in the movement phase. They're doing, I don't know, about less theming towards the different orders. We know that Bringers of Flame is going to definitely be Argent Shroud. Or is it? That's not a bad idea. I think they've already done that in the Champions of Faith, though, because you can boost up your Battle Sisters and then they get bonus ballistic skill. That's already there. It exists. But I like the thought. Have I ever redesigned Miracle Dice for fun? Kind of. There's a couple of videos I have about Miracle Dice, how we could improve them or change them or get rid of them entirely. Yeah, Champions of Faith does need to remove the you spend Miracle Dice to activate your army. Because the buffs are not that great, and you can only use the stratagems if you are righteous. Otherwise, you get like +1 strength. Oh, and then if you're righteous, you actually get +1 IP as well, which is the necessary bit. Yeah, why am I blanking on my sister's orders? Who are the silver ones? The ones in silver armor. That's Argent Shroud. Yeah, Argent Shroud is definitely the Bringers of Flame. Although that could also be the Ebon Chalice. Then who's the Penitent Host? I don't know. Army of Faith feels very Sacred Rose. Very, very Sacred Rose. So I'm very happy with that. What would you do if they were to remove Miracle Dice entirely? Well, I don't think they're going to do that this edition. I think they'll wait another year and a half. And then they'll change it. Because it's not quite like... Well, the Genestealer Cult and their massive reworks have been still themed around the same thing, getting units back. So it'll just be changing the amount of dice that we get back. Acts of Faith are the thing I like. So if they became Acts of Faith instead, and you got Acts of Faith dice, I would be okay with that. Miracle Dice are not the most amazing army rule. I, last week, for fun, swapped out Miracle Dice for Oath of Moment. And it is so much better. It is so much better, it is so much easier. You say, that is the unit that's going to die, and then you reroll all hit rolls. Oh, thank you, Jack, for the new Ko-fi subscription. I hope you have fun while you're here. Is it going to tell me what tier you're on? Oh, the super special secret tier. Very good. I'll start organizing these things after the stream. Yeah, Dark Pact is strong as well, so Battle Sisters... Well, think of Zephyrim. They can have sustained hits or lethal hits, and you can spend a miracle dice to get both. That's a cool option. I don't know how much they want to lean into that, but whenever I've tried to rework miracle dice, it's often ended up like Dark Pacts, or it's ended up more like the pain tokens of the Drukhari. That's how Acts of Faith were a bit more. Yeah, the rituals are nice. So if you want to try other army rules, try it. Drop miracle dice for a game and try something else. Oath of Moment was a fun and easy one. I found the +1 to wound is too much, but I find the +1 to wound is too much when playing Space Marines. It didn't seem as bad when it was rerolls to wound in the index, Space Marine index. But getting +1 to wound is a lot. I don't know how +1 to wound can seem more powerful than full rerolls to wound. Maybe because it has overlap with other things? Not sure. Not sure. Like doubling or multiplying successes? Yeah, we'll see. Yes, the bridgehead detachment with the scions get changed. And this is why you don't buy a new army just because one detachment is really cool. You have to like the models and the aesthetic and the playstyle before you get that. Sister in Battle with Shadow and the Warp? How about Sisters of Battle with the detachment rule from the Grey Knights with the purgation thing? Because then when a objective is like sanctified, I'm going to put it in front of my head for now because we're not yet on the tier list. And things should pop up in front of my head rather than being behind my head. The, what was I saying? Yes, the sanctified thing that the Grey Knights have, that detachment where you control an objective and your deployment zone, so you get bonuses when you're in an area that you've blessed, sanctified, done the whole, what are they called? We're the Battle Sisters. Defenders of the Faith thing. To make it all nice and shiny. Sisters are pretty bad at holding primary? Yeah, okay, maybe there's that. But then you would have some units that are always on. So, like the Champions of Faith, you could say, okay, we have Battle Sisters, Celestian Sacresants, and who's the other one that gets the benefit? Come here, my rulebook. Attachment rule, Battle Sisters, Celestian Sacresants, Paragon Warsuits. Yeah. The suits. Battle Sisters missionary with a printed head of me. Oh no, that's kind of creepy. And I hope that was me. Excellent. Unless it's going to be and it was actually this other person, but you're kind of cool too. Thanks, Chicken on a Raft. Yeah, I did start at the end of 9th edition technically, because 10th edition didn't really come out till September, even though the hype for it was going from like March. And they were doing the, oh, let's tease a new faction and tease what a new rule is going to be, so people can kind of get a grasp on the rules. So I'm looking forward to them doing that again when next year, I guess? Yeah, March 2026? One more year from now. Okay. Crazy times. What else was I thinking? Okay, so that's generally covered the state of play where it comes to detachments, to detachment rules, army rules. Yeah. They're all not as good as they could be, but they work. They definitely work. I saved you from being AdMech player. Good. That is even more models. They're even harder to put together. They're even more expensive to play. And they tend to be... like, their extremes are far more than the Battle Sisters. Battle Sisters can go from, like, slightly more than good and quite bad. AdMech can go from, you are top of the pack and nothing can beat you because you're weird chicken walkers, or this is awful and terrible. Yeah, I think the Sanctifier Kill Team will get rules for 40k. You can always use the Death Cult Assassins. I'm going to be talking about the Death Cult Assassins today. They have rules. You will be using those rules. There is no reason not to use Legends rules. So I think they will have a Battle Sisters datasheet at some point. What that means for 11th edition could be that the Preacher model gets discontinued, because they were from the Blackstone Fortress. If we then have a Preacher unit, they may not be able to be a character anymore. We'll see. We will see. How do you do the Vampire VTuber thing? Is the current VTuber avatar you have something you made, or is it like a generic one in the program? It is one I made from lots of different bits, lots of different parts from a lot of places. I stuck them all together. I painted them because I know how to paint stuff and just did that digitally. And now it's a unique thing for me. I have seen people where I'm like, I recognize like that collar or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, we just shop at the same place, which is nice. Thank you for the happy anniversary messages. Wasn't the Preacher in Imperial Agent boxes as well? Good point. Yes, it was. So I think it probably will continue. Good point. Good point. That, can't remember her name. Crazy Fire Lady. Slightly spiky head. She was in Blackstone Fortress. Pious Vaughn. That's the name. Yeah, she was good. All right. Okay, I'm ready to do the tier list. So let's pop up the tier list. Let's put that on, which means we move that to there, which means this now appears, which means I can now go, oh, hey, look at that. It's the one I had. So you can see at the bottom, we have all of the units waiting, including in the top left up there, the Crusaders, in the bottom middle, Death Cult Assassins. They still have rules in 10th edition. You can still use those rules. The rules are on Warpedia if you want to check that as a resource. If you're thinking, well, these aren't in the codex, but they were in the index, they are available for free from the Warhammer community website. You have to look under the Legends tab in the downloads part, and then you get to see the new and updated Crusaders, new and updated Death Cult Assassins. They're really good. Ooh, teach a Battle Sister and Gene Stealer Cult player to play and play against each other. Interesting thought. Oh well. It's a difficult one to do, but I kind of like the idea. If I go to a tournament soonish, I might do a report on the tournament. Depends how I do, depends how much I enjoyed it. If it's like, this was the worst tournament I've ever been to, really awful, I don't know if I want to make that a video. I don't know if I want to be that person that makes that kind of video. But we'll see. Yeah, the Preacher and Priest, I think they're the same unit now. They are in Imperial Agents. But the two models from Blackstone Fortress are there. The new one, like the Confessor character, the Drill Abbot, the Preachers, the Missionaries, all of them in the new kill team. I'm pretty sure they'll be Battle Sisters. And they may continue to next edition, whereas... let me just alter that, because there is a slightly annoying thing skirting at the bottom. There we go. Yeah, they may continue for like Imperial Agents, but not for anything else. Right, just want to check. It's not disappearing from the screen, is it? It's all still there on the screen. You've got a thumbs up emote if you want to use it. Also, generally emotes. If you are a channel member, then you have lots of emotes you can use. I like my emotes. They're fun. They were fun to make. So emotes exist. So things that work, we have emotes. Yes, Von Carmine is... Paul does make those videos, I know. I watched his video yesterday, relatively quickly. He had some nice transitions, so props on the editing. It was nice to see. Ah, yes, it doesn't seem to have worked out for him. Last time was indeed a fluke. And he went to the same place again, and he's like down in what's called the Midlands, but I just call it the Deep South. So it's a bit difficult for me to get there because trains are really expensive. I could fly, but I don't like flying with models because it's like, can I have these really sharp objects with me the whole time? If they say no, then I don't get on the plane. And I don't want to put them in the back of the plane because then I know that when I get them out and when I get there, I will then have to rebuild the entire army. Yeah, I could just turn into a bat. However, how do I then carry all of the models? I would have to be a swarm of bats, carry each individual model, and also not drop it. And then landing is difficult if I have something in my claws. I don't know. Let's do a microphone test. I think it should be fine. Yeah, microphone test is okay. Good, good. Magnetize the bats. An option. that's an option. So I much prefer to go on the train. But, yeah. See, the Black Country inspired Mordor. Did it? Yes, I suppose it probably would with the industrialization. That makes sense. And then the Shires are the Shire. Alright, let's do a unit first. So I keep mentioning Celestian Sacresants. Let me find my notes on Celestian Sacresants. That's just one Celestian. That's one character Celestian. Celestian Sacresants. Right, let's shift them up to... Where are they? There they are. Let me just put them in C tier for the moment as like a holding area. And I'm going to explain what the tier list is, what the different ranks are going to mean. So we have A tier, which are the units that are great in basically all of the detachments. You're going to want them, I would say, all of the time. Maybe not all the time, but all of the time. Let's go with all of the time. If you have them, that's good. B tier are the ones that may work well in one detachment, like especially well. They're generally okay. There's often a unit that is better than them. I tend not to do S tier because, at least with the Battle Sisters, there's nothing that like, oh, you need to take this to make your army work. I would have S tier with Genestealer Cult just to put the Ridge Runner in it, because everyone takes Ridge Runners. There's no unit in the Adepta Sororitas army that, regardless of detachment, I'm always like, I need these to function. Battle Sisters I can do without. I prefer not to, but I can do without Battle Sisters if need be. Yeah, all of them are... they can work. So C tier is the area that's like, okay, these work well in one detachment and one detachment only. If you're not taking that one detachment, you don't want this unit. If you are taking that detachment, maybe you still don't want this unit. They are very situational on where they perform. And then D tier are, these are overpriced, these are bad, it doesn't matter what detachment you put them in, you are overpaying, and there are much, much better units. That's what D tier is for, and then we have waiting, which is just where I put all of them, so we know that they're there. Right, so Celestian Sacresants. Would you want an Imperial Armor supplement for Battle Sisters? I mean, if we get Drop Cathedrals, that'd be great. I would like that. I would definitely like Drop Cathedrals. But that would probably be the rest of it. Right. Celestian Sacresants. They are 20 points cheaper for a unit of 10. I think they're a pretty poor unit. They only get better in the Champions of Faith detachment, and they're still not the best in the Champions of Faith detachment, because in the Champions of Faith detachment, I want to use Paragon Warsuits all of the time. I will even improve Battle Sisters, because hitting on a 2+, and if you have a Canoness with a Rod of Office to reroll hits rolls of 1, then you're always going to be hitting, almost always going to be hitting with your Battle Sisters. That's pretty good. Oh look, my Multi-Melter is hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s. Yeah, you're going to roll a 2, but you get to use like a 3, and that's a hit. If you stay still, then you are hitting on a 2, because they have heavy, I think. Let me check. Battle Sister Squad, Multi-Melters. Yes, it's heavy. Hits on a 4 with heavy. Good, so we can hit on 3s. Makes sense, makes sense. There's a lot of things that can work with the Celestians. So you can add a Hospitaller, then you have a pretty tough unit, because as soon as the Celestians are joined by a character, it's -1 to wound that unit. However, that means that most enemies, which are strength 4, will now be wounding you on 4s. That is standard. That's all it's really doing. You get a 5+ feel no pain, but you're paying 180 points for this combination. You can resurrect models, it's one model with a Hospitaller, or you can spend a Miracle Dice and then it's D3+1. That's an anvil, you're getting wounded on 4s, and you have 1 wound. And you can't really do that combo more than once, because you need the Miracle Dice for other things. If your command phase is like, okay, I have 2 or 3 Miracle Dice, everything tries to resurrect models from the Hospitallers into the Sacresant units, that's it. Where is your attacking Miracle Dice? What else are you using Miracle Dice for? It's a thought, and I know it's been floated as an idea, but I don't think it works. You can have 1 block like that. I think having 1 unit of Celestians is enough. That's it. And probably 10, they got a discount. What were they? Celestian Sacresants, 70 points for 5 or 130 for 10. So it is slightly cheaper points per model to have a unit of 10. So that's okay. That's okay. They need 2 wounds. They really do need 2 wounds to operate. They're okay in the Champions of Faith detachment. I don't like including them in other detachments because all of the other detachments pretty much have either better combat units like the Penitent Host, or you have sustained hits or lethal hits from stratagems. Well, lethal hits or extra AP and things, or you've got Lance in the Army of Faith. Toughness 4 and 2 wounds would be about right. Or even leave it with the -1 to wound and toughness 3, but give us 2 wounds. If you don't have an Immolator to split the unit, these are your cheapest 5 models for actions. But you also have 3 Arco-Flagellants as an option, or 2 Crusaders, or 2 Death Cult Assassins. So I think people overvalue them. You can add a Canoness. Then you get the stratagems for free. Well, 1 command point cheaper. That's very important in the Champions of Faith detachment, where you've already spent a miracle dice to activate them. Then you actually want to use the stratagems. That can work. With a Rod of Office from the Canoness, you're re-rolling hit rolls of 1. So you could be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s for your combat weapons. The problem is, Celestian Sacresants cost more than Battle Sisters. Battle Sisters' guns have range. Celestian Sacresants need to be in combat. And if you're going to be in combat, Arco-Flagellants may be preferable. Arco-Flagellants are 140 points for 10. So for 10 more points, you can have Arco-Flagellants. I know you're getting an armor save and vulnerable save, but you're getting more wounds. You actually have 2 wounds with Arco-Flagellants. Don't you? Let me check. Yes. And you have a feel no pain. I know they have no armor save apart from the invulnerable save, but still, I prefer Arco-Flagellants. You can have a Hospitaller. No, I've done the Hospitaller. You can have a Palatine in the unit. The Palatine will give them lethal hits, so with your halberds, which have sustained hits anyway, you can have sustained hits and lethal hits at the same time. You don't have that many attacks. It's 3 attacks per model. That's relatively low. I think they work best in the Champions of Faith, but maybe only in the Champions of Faith would you consider taking them. So I'm willing to put them in C tier. That's where I think they go. Yeah, Arco-Flagellants are bolter fodder, but if they get there, they do damage. And then you can add a Ministorum Priest so that they wound much better. And you can have them in units of 3. Celestian Sacresants are unit of 5. Unit of 3 is cheaper. So I think they're going to go there. Okay, do we have any preference? Well, let's go for Arco-Flagellants next, since we're talking about Arco-Flagellants. Arco-Flagellants, let me get them on the screen. Whippy men. Whippy men and women. Right, I'll put them there as a holding thing to see if they are better than the Celestian Sacresants, which I think they are. People are straight in saying A tier. I love that. If you want to comment where you think they are on the tier list, let's do that. Yeah, okay. Celestian Sacresants in a squad of 10 can shred guardsmen or other light infantry. So can Repentia. So can Arco-Flagellants. Much easier. The Arco-Flagellants got 10 points cheaper, probably to encourage people to take the Penitent Host, but they work in any detachment. Now, the 3 models didn't get cheaper, but a unit of 10 did. I think they work well in Army of Faith. They can get Lance then. They can get an extra point of armor penetration for stratagems. Champions of Faith, less so, but Repentia work quite well in Champions of Faith as my combat unit of preference. Yeah, the Arco-Flagellants are ideal for Penitent Hosts, just to hold objectives as a unit of 3, for the unit of 3 that they are. We don't know if they're going to survive to be a unit of 3 in 11th edition. I wouldn't count on that. But they work in the Army of Faith, they work in the Penitent Host, so they're good in multiple detachments. As 3 models, they can be a good screen. Have them in front of your army. They move 7 inches? I think they're like creepily Eldar fast. Yeah, they move 7 inches. They have no guns, so you might as well advance them. Now you have a line of models in front of your models. Unless the enemy is able to slip through the gaps in between, which they can do to get to your models. Because I think when you charge, you can go into engagement range of other units as long as you don't end in engagement range of other units you're not charging. I keep forgetting the core rules on charging and need to look them up every now and then. especially things like pile in and consolidate. When do you do it? How close can you get? Do you have to go towards the closest enemy? Their base is going to be 25 millimeters. I thought it might be 28 millimeters. It says on Warpedia 25 millimeters, but I don't think that's right. So 28 millimeters sounds more correct. No, for the time they came out, I have some here, but I don't know what base size that is. Yeah, Heroic Intervention is also a thing. No, for the time they came out, they weren't doing 28mm bases at the time, so they're 25mm bases. For now. I think they're going to be a B tier. If they're a small unit, they can die and give you lots of miracle dice once again, because we have that back. Miracle dice are something that you get per unit destroyed. 3 units of 3 is a great addition to any army. They'll be 45 points each. Well, maybe not have 3 units, but 2 units of 3 can be pretty good. Yeah, Nurglings are good screens. I know, it depends what you want to do with them. Whatever, base size is a whole different thing. We don't need to care about base size. We might care a little bit about base size. I have a video on base size. Yours are on 25mm bases. Of course, I've got like some metal ones. They're on 25mm bases. So I have no idea what the new ones come on. I just keep using the bases I've got. Right, so Ministorum Priest is a unit that goes, well, a character that leads them, goes with them. Put them there. The Ministorum Priest can be outfitted 2 different ways. The model shown here has the power weapon and the holy pistol, or you can have the Eviscerator type thing. What's it called? The Vindictor. Yes, Zealot's Vindictor, which is a heavy flamer on top of being strength 5, 3 attacks, damage 2. It's not quite one of the Repentia's weapons. What's the Repentia's weapons called? The Viscerator. Slightly different. Vindictor to Eviscerator. Alright, yes. So they're fine. They're fine. The Ministorum Priest gives you +1 to wound, and once per game, that model can get 3 extra attacks. And also 3 extra strength. So that's where I'm thinking of it. Yes, they're strength 8, 1 time. I wonder if, when we get the new kill team, if they're going to survive as a Ministorum Priest into 11th edition, probably because they are sold as part of the Imperial Agents box. Yeah, rebasing units is a scam. You don't need to buy new bases. Yeah, you don't need to change the bases. Oh, right. Yeah, the Nurgling's got to change their rule, because that's going to be compatible with the new Death Guard rules whenever they come out. I'm not expecting too much for like the Adepticon reveal other than, hey, we're going to do those codexes you already know about. So there's that. Yeah. So the Ministorum Priest works rather well in the Penitent Host. I don't know about only in the Penitent Host, because whenever I have Arco-Flagellants, adding the Ministorum Priest, which gives them +1 to wound in melee, that's so useful. Arco-Flagellants are hitting most things on a 4, well, hitting on 4s with sustained hits. They no longer have twin linked, which I think they did in the index, so they're wounding on 3s. Let's get that down to 2s. You can hurt tanks, depending on the detachment you're in. You may have some stratagems, like in the Champions of Faith, like in the Army of Faith, to improve your armor penetration, just to get AP 1, which can be good. Priest is also a cheap action person with an invulnerable save. I prefer the Canoness for that, but they work. They are the same price, I think, 50 points. Yeah, they're each 50 points. And the Canoness has an invuln save of 2+ once per game, and an armor save of 3+, whereas the Ministorum Priest is always on their 4+ invulnerable save. So they can work as an action monkey if you so wish. And that Penitent Eviscerator is not too bad to just charge in and kill people. Oh, random task. I have a friend who plays orcs, had more than 100 orc boys, and has rebased about 20 of them, and is not going to do the rest. Ooh. Eviscerator chainswords have a tiny power field. Interesting. Good to know. Good bit of lore. I think that was in Dark Heresy lore, because they really fleshed out some of the weapons and things. That was good. Right, what we're thinking here. So I think the Ministorum Priest is going to be B tier. They help the Arco-Flagellants. They're good in some detachments. They work in other detachments, best in Penitent Host. Don't know what's going to happen with the Ministorum kill team. I think they're B tier. They're going to be a pretty good leader. I don't really fancy redoing my whole video on, can you do Adepta Sororitas with no sisters? Some people objected to the concept. Yeah. But they're pretty good. You could do it if you want. Alright, the next unit. If you have any preferences, please shout it out in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going down my list of notes. So the next one I have is Dominions, because they got a points drop. They went from 125 points to 115 points. I'll do Repentia after the Dominions. Right, the Dominions, let's get them on screen. Now, this is the one where I really don't like the image that Games Workshop has for them, because you can't really see it on the screen here. But if you look really closely, it has some of the monopose sisters, like the one with the eye patch and the Stormbolter, which you do not get in this box. It's like, that is not correctly advertised. Yeah, the Sororitas means sisterhood, but it's possible to exploit it and not do it. Like you can have all Kroot as an army. So, is that going to mean if we get a new detachment in June, it's going to be Ministorum focused? And it'll be Arco-Flagellants, Ministorum Priests, the kill team, Penitent Engines, not Mortifiers. Yeah, I could see that happening. 2 times strength. Back when 2 times strength. Much easier to say, this is the new strength characteristic of the weapons. I like that. I can work with that. Yeah, all Kroot army. Can't do all Vespid, but you can do quite a few other things. Right, where were we? Dominions. They're an A tier unit. I think they're still an A tier unit. I don't think Games Workshop's going to make a new Ministorum faction. Dominions are one of those that does a lot in, well, almost all detachments, basically not the Penitent Host, but all the other detachments. They have a Simulacrum. They can generate Miracle Dice. They can scout. They have a weird scout rule, so if you put them in a transport with a character, the character also gets to scout. The Ministorum Priest also has like a reverse thing, where they get scout regardless of where the Dominions are. But Dominion Squad, they have a reactive move. I keep forgetting to do their reactive move. It's such a good reactive move, because in the Bringers of Flame detachment, or whenever I'm using transports, they would get back into the transport when the enemy comes close. Really good. Yeah, Holy Vanguard. If they are attached with a leader, and they're in the transport, the leader gets scout, just so that the transport can still scout. That was a whole thing they did. They're really good in repressors. They're really good in rhinos. Oh, it might be an X amount of points as allies, but which place would we get the allies from? Is it going to be Deathwatch? I don't know. Oh, Sisters of Silence, perhaps? But it could be one of those detachments. But Imperial Agents seems more likely. We already have Knights we can add in. We already have Imperial Agents we can add in, so it's not going to be Deathwatch and Sisters, because we can already do that. Yeah, that's a thought. Right, what else can the Dominions do? Yeah, Simulacrum, Scout, Reactive Move, Melter Weapons. You get 4 Melter Weapons, and you could have a Melter Pistol on the Superior. I prefer a Hand Flamer. That's an option. They do a lot everywhere. They can move fast. They can kill stuff. If you want to spend command points on them, you do so. If you want to have a character with them, put that character and Dominion unit in a Rhino, then they can still Scout. Scout is underrated. Being able to move onto an objective first turn is really good. If you can get yourself onto an objective before the game officially starts, in rare circumstances, some of the missions, I don't know about the Nakmud Crusade missions, sometimes some of them, they will allow you to be able to score in the first turn. Welcome, Super Ray Ray. Good to have you. Yeah, cut off some flamer bits to make a pistol for the Superior. Have a hand flamer. That works. I used a Seraphim hand flamer as an option, because that was when I was going, I want some more Inferno pistols, which meant I had some spare hand flamers. It's one way of doing it. And I do like the Nakmud Crusade stuff of Deep Strike is different. Deep Strike you can land however close you want, outside of engagement range, and then still charge, with potential consequences. But if you watch my video on that, if you stay about 7 inches away with one of your models, you may be in range of 2 enemies. on a even below average roll, you will face no consequences whatsoever and charge 7.5 inches, which means you succeed on a 7-inch charge. It's great. If you need to do that, Seraphim don't. You just shoot and move away. But Zephyrim, that can work. Right, I'm putting Dominions in A tier. There's no more stuff for that. Right, we said Repentia. Repentia was the next call out. Repentia. I did not alphabetize my notes. That might have been something clever to do. For Repressor. Repentia. Alright. Repentia got a little bit of a points drop. I think it was 1 point per model. They went from 18 points per model to 17 points per model. That's not very good. That's still incredibly expensive in terms of points. Where's my Repentia? They're all just a blur. There you are. Hold you there for now. We know they're good in the Penitent Host. They're extremely good in the Penitent Host. Still too expensive. They work in Hallowed Martyrs pretty well. Because Hallowed Martyrs, you have a fight on death stratagem. And in the Champions of Faith, I can get them to work quite well. You activate them so that they're righteous. They get +1 to move when they do that, so they're moving 8 inches. Which is like essentially an extra +1 on the charge. Because you moved 1 extra inch in the movement phase. You get an extra leadership, which is nice. You don't get any improvements to your weapon skill or ballistic skill, but you can have +1 strength and an extra AP. You can, what else can you do? Have lethal hits or sustained hits, which is not something you can normally do. Well, you go for lethal hits because they already have sustained hits on their Penitent Eviscerators. And there you go. Sustained hits and lethal hits, which is very nice. So they can work in the Champions of Faith. I recommend doing them there. That can work. Eldari, Fear, Nekmud. Oh, and you have to split up your army as well, which is the weird thing. Works for Genestealer Cult. Sort of works for Sisters. Right, is there anything else Repentia get? Nope, still no characters can join them outside of the Penitent Host where there is 1 enhancement. They're rather overpriced. You want to have them arrive in a Rhino or come from strategic reserves, but even in the Nekmud, you can't come on closer than 9 inches unless you walk on from your own deployment edge and there's an enemy right nearby. Then you can become instantly battle shocked and still charge them, and it's like a 2-inch charge. Or however far away they are. That's pretty good. So yeah, you almost always need a Rhino. Trying them more recently in the Penitent Host, if they get hit first, they die. And that's not great. I was using the Exigency Stratagems. There's a video on that I did quite recently. Pretty cool alternatives to the core stratagems. Swap them out. Why not? They're valid rules. They're in the White Dwarf. They do cost a lot. Did they get nerfed compared to the Index? No, last edition with the Superior nearby, they could reroll charge rolls. But the Superior was a separate character. They just didn't take up a slot in the Force Organization chart if you also had Repentia, and then you had to run behind. Yeah. Yeah, Repentia and Army of Faith with Lance, that's good. And our extra AP, it works. I've done it. It is fine. Usually I go for the extra armor penetration. Enemies with a 4+ armor save and now no armor save. And I like making my enemies no armor save, because then 100% of the wounds will get through. Especially good against Votann, because they are 4+ armor save generally. They can kill chaff. They do okay. So, yeah, melee rerolls used to be on the charge. Now you always get the rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound. However, the Superior has to be alive for that. Tips for Bringers of Flames. Well, that's maybe going to come with these transports, because they are very much more transport focused now. So, Repentia, I think, they're not D tier. They are workable. I think do I want to put them in B tier after a slight points drop to say, well done, Games Workshop, you're going in the right direction. Not sure about that. Or do I leave them in C tier because they work in the Penitent Host and rarely outside that? Let's do it as a poll. I need to do a poll. So we're going to go for C tier or B tier. There you go, you can click a poll. Most people are saying C. Almost all people are saying C. I'm not going to put them in D because they work okay in other detachments beside the Penitent Host and stuff. Oh my god, ponies! Thank you for the monies. I appreciate that. I will add that to the group, to the pile. There we go. If you want to make the bar at the top go up, then we have a link in the description, which is to Ko-fi, which is what fills up that bar at the top. Which is why the tip money thing in the bottom right and the tip money thing in the top left are connected. But however you want to give money is appreciated. Thank you. Okay, we're going for C tier. I will end that poll. We have a result and it's C tier. Right. I'll leave them where they are. I can live with that. Okay, what unit are we doing next? I saw many options that people wanted. Yeah, they are too expensive, I think. And they die far too easy. Whereas Arco-Flagellants can survive a lot more. I've seen plenty of other things get shouted out. Aveline, Sister Superior Aveline. I can do Sister Superior Aveline. You typed it very quickly. Aveline. Right, Celestian Superior Aveline is a lone operative character. That's very useful. Where's our Aveline? There she is. You get to stay there for a moment. She's cheaper than the Death Cult Assassins. Slightly cheaper. They are our other lone operative kind of thing. They... Let's see. Superior Aveline. Yeah, lone operative, complete missions, stand on objectives. Not that amazing at fighting. Once per game is good at fighting. She can't join Celestian Sacresants, which is the stupidest thing. I don't know what she would really give them, but something I would assume. If she was able to join them, there would be some special rule. Hey, it's a character. You could just add a cheap character to the Celestian Sacresant unit, then the Celestian Sacresants are -1 to be wounded. That'd be good. Tiny little hand flamer. Thorn of the Right Rose, 4 attack, strength 5, -2 damage. Once per game, it's devastating wounds, similar to like Space Marine captains. She has an A in her name already. Hope they rework her when she's going out to Legends. They might? I don't know. Or they may just let her disappear and say, hey, this is now going in the counts as document, where it's count this as a Sacresant Superior with a hand flamer. And that'll be it. I've never been able to use her Demon Breaker thing, despite using her against Chaos, where there was like Possessed and Defiler? They have the Demon keyword. Didn't get to reroll hit rolls, didn't get to reroll wound rolls. That's a nothing ability. Yeah, a B tier for a line operative. I know a lot of people won't have used her because the model was hard to get. Not everyone wants to put like a single model on a 50mm base to represent her. Not that you have to follow base sizes. It's a cool looking model. As a unit, it's like, yeah, she crusades around and does stuff. I'm thinking B tier. Probably B tier. Yeah, we'll go with B tier. She has a role. It's not an amazing role. I think other units can do it better. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know she'd roast me with the sword if I was mean to her, so she's not going in C tier because there's no real detachment that works for her. She doesn't get any bonuses from Righteous Purpose from the Champions of Faith detachment, because she's not keyword Celestian Sacresant, despite being a Celestian Sacresant. Doesn't have that keyword, because the way keywords work, Celestian Sacresant Aveline is different to keyword Celestian Sacresant. If you think of the Space Marine Dreadnoughts, they have Dreadnought and Brutalis Dreadnought. Separate keywords, so you know that it is a Dreadnought and will trigger off detachment rules and abilities that are for Dreadnoughts. How come she's not in the Codex? She was released after the Codex came out, and she was a one-off model for a book tie-in, so she had a temporary model. Her rules are available from the Games Workshop website in the download section in... might be Legends, hopefully is Legends. But she's not in the Codex because the Codex came out first, then she came out. Okay, what's the next unit we're doing? Do I have any particular preferences on what we do? Tell you what, let's do Crusaders next. Because we talked a lot about, yeah, she's Legends. I think counts as Legends, essentially. She came out in the Black Library tie-in rule thing. So we'll do Crusaders next. And that means I get to rant about Legends. So, Legends, you say? And you mentioning right there with people using Legends in tournaments. I think all of the Legends units can be used in a lot of tournaments. Legends can be used in most or all of the tournaments I have ever been to. So this idea that Legends units are not for tournaments is not true. Some tournaments restrict Legends, not all of them. So we have things like the WTC, the ITC, some Games Workshop events. Ooh, 77 monies. Thank you very much, top-level Jujitsu. I'm glad you've enjoyed my content, my videos, my entertainment. Thank you very much for the monies. I will add that to the pile. Edit code. Lovely. Yes, so some tournaments restrict Legends. Yeah, Games Workshop does its own thing because Games Workshop doesn't want you to play with models they don't currently sell. So if you're walking past the table and you're like, hey, that looks cool, where can I buy that? The answer isn't in our adjacent shop. So they do a weird thing there. I have a whole video on Legends. ITC does restrict it. All of the Rogue Trader tournaments, which is locally organized groups, they allow Legends. All of the ones near me. There's been one I've seen that didn't allow them, and I was immediately like, well, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a fun tournament. Same for like terrain and stuff. Not all of them follow the WTC or ITC terrain boards. I played an event and there was a corridor, like a clear corridor from one home objective all the way to the other. It was great because it was different. There weren't any corridors at the side. It was like you go down this one narrow avenue or you go through the ruins to the side. And it worked so well. It was good. It was good. Yeah. Aveline is not in Legends. Aveline is also not in the Codex. She exists in a weird place. So she is in a separate document from the downloads section of the Games Workshop website. Do I need to go to it right now? Games Workshop. Downloads. Warhammer 40,000. Is she somewhere in Legends but not here? Yes, Black Library, Celestian Sacresants, Aveline, under the Legends tab, but not in the document that's called Legends Adepta Sororitas. So there she is. She exists. Technically Legends, because that's the subcategory it's in. Doesn't really matter. I still recommend you play with her, and any other Legends units, like the Crusaders. They're a very easy kit batch from, like, anything. Anything at all. Someone who subscribed. Wonderful. Thank you. So, when people say, oh, there's this new rule that's come out, like the exigency stratagems, people's first thought, I think it was maybe just because we'd had the balance patch the day before. People were very much in official tournament rule mindset. Here's some new rules. I'm the first one to talk about it. People don't think it's real. People say, can I use this at a tournament? I don't know if you can use it at your local tournament. Your local tournament is going to have set rules based on what they want to have. I never know your tournament rules. I don't know any of them. Only your tournament organizer knows what's going to be allowed. I just tell you a bunch of cool rules and unit abilities and things. Like, take the Crusaders. They're good. What is the best battle line unit for sisters? Oh, someone's watched the video, or really needs to go and watch that very specific video. Oh, no local tournaments near you. I don't know if that's a shame. It's mildly annoying. It's a fun, like, if you can do a one-day tournament, they're pretty good. 3 games can be nice. 2-day events can be a bit too intense. Think of it as like a full work day, and then more, and overtime, just playing 40k. and not doing like the friendly 40k of talking about it in the middle. Too bad the kill team didn't have a new Crusader model. It has the Death Cult Assassin model, and I suppose we have the Sir, whoever it was, and maybe not a knight, a person who appeared in the Blackstone Fortress. So they look okay. Oh, Marco Steele. Yeah, you can't quite replace those at the moment. Well, I wouldn't add the +1 to wound thing anyway. Right, so Crusaders. Crusaders, I think, are an A-tier unit. They got better from the Index of the Codex. They have 2 wounds. They have a 4+ invulnerable save, so they are more expensive than the, what are they called? Celestian Sacresants. Yeah, because 2 of them are the equivalent of 5 Celestian Sacresants. Maybe Celestian Sacresants are a little better, but you have a 3+ save. 3+ save, 2 wounds. It's not quite as many wounds, but you can do a lot more with them. It's cheaper just to have the 2 of them than it is to take 5 Celestian Sacresants. If you just want a unit sitting on an objective, they are cheaper than 3 Arco-Flagellants. 2 of them are 40 points compared to 3 Arco-Flagellants at 45 points. They have a feel no pain against psychic attacks and mortal wounds, which is occasionally something that comes up from explosions. I was fighting Gretchen and loads of orcs, and the Grot Mega Tank exploded, which made a killer can explode, which hit another vehicle, which didn't explode. Oh, and it also blew up my Dreadnought, but that didn't explode either. There was a lot of explosions going off in one area very quickly. The Crusaders could survive that. So, that's someone subscribing. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, Crusaders would be S tier if they had Deep Strike. Oh, so I think we may be knowing where the Death Cult Assassins are going. But Crusaders, I think they are definitely an A tier unit. They do a lot. They're really good. They can be used as... They have an invuln save. Yeah, same as Celestian Sacresants. They're the cheapest bodyguard you can have for the Triumph of St. Catherine, because any character that can join a Battle Sister squad can join the Triumph of St. Catherine. There you go. You just got 4 more wounds and 2 ablative bodies for your las cannon shots that hit the Triumph of St. Catherine, if you're taking the Triumph of St. Catherine. So should we do Death Cult Assassins now? Because they are also legends. They are also very similar to the Assassins, to the Crusaders. I think we should. So the Death Cult Assassins are 55 points for 2. That's a little bit more expensive. Yeah, they can have a go at assassinating characters. They get 4 attacks each, 1 damage each though. You get to reroll wound rolls. I don't think I've ever used them to attack characters. I have other people I use to attack characters, like a Palatine. Then I'll use Epic Challenge, or I'll have the Blade of Set Eleanor, so she gets precision. Or I have Ephriel Stern, who always has precision with her attacks, and is anti-chaos and a bunch of other stuff, and fight first, like the Death Cult Assassins. So if you wanted a cheaper Demonifuge, I guess the Death Cult Assassins work. They're 2 wounds, 5+ invulnerable save. They have lone operative, so they can't be shot. Stick them on your home objective. Great. They can't be shot at long range. The enemy will have to come really close. Often they do and try and deep strike onto it, in which case you'll probably die. But you'll be an inconvenience, and if they charge you, you fight first, so you may be able to kill one of their characters accidentally, just by getting lucky. Yeah, they're objective monkeys. They infiltrate, so they could also try and hold objectives out in the open, in the middle of the board. Unless the enemy is within 12 inches of them, they're not going to be able to shoot them. Blood went down the wrong way. And, oh yes, because you're infiltrating, that means you stop enemy infiltrators, because they can't deploy within 9 inches of your deployment zone or your infiltrators. So there's an area of... It's a small area, because there's 2 of them. But there's an area of, you are not deploying near me. It's pretty good. Repentia with Eldari daggers. Not a bad idea. I think we can generally get, outside of Games Workshop, hooded person, assassin, any kind of rogue character model from D&D, that'll work. Oh, what did I say about Crusaders being able to join the Triumph of St. Catherine? Yeah, so the Triumph of St. Catherine can be joined, is a character that can join Battle Sisters, and the rule on the Crusaders is any character model, including the Triumph of St. Catherine, that can join Battle Sisters can be attached to the Crusaders. Just one unit, but yeah, you can have the Triumph of St. Catherine and 2 Crusaders or 4 Crusaders together as an attached unit. The Death Cult Assassins are, of course, lone operatives, so they don't have anyone that goes with them. There's going to be a new Death Cult Assassin model in the new Kill Team, which is now on pre-order, so if you want to pre-order that, there are links in the description to get it cheaper. That would be the places like Gap Games, War Games Portal, Firestorm Games, Fenris Workshop. Depending on which country you are in, that works. You can get it cheaper. No, I'm pretty sure Crusaders, if you look at Crusaders on Warpedia, enable legends, go to the Crusaders, then you can see that they can be joined by the Triumph of St. Catherine. Yeah, Gap Games is really good. Especially, well, only for Australia and New Zealand. It's a very big discount. And by going to gapgames.com.au/vampire, then you help my channel out in the progress. War Games Portal was sold out that fast. Oh, damn. People in the United States really want those flamey people. Okay. Yeah. Right, so where are we going to put the Death Cult Assassins? Are they B tier or are they A tier, same as Crusaders? I haven't got a thing listed for them. So I can do a quick poll. That's an option. A tier, B tier. I don't think they're anything else. They're very good. I know they're a little bit expensive, but they're good. Have you enabled legends when you're looking at it that way? Because if I go to Warpedia, Triumph of St. Catherine, yeah, you have to have at the top in the settings, there's the cog setting, then there's a show legends and not recommended rules. Then when you enable that, it says, yeah, Triumph of St. Catherine can join Battle Sisters and Crusaders. So you've got to look at it like that. I have done a short video on my thoughts on the release of the Kill Team. When it comes to actually showing off 40k rules, then I'll be able to talk about them a bit more, and I'll do a proxy game where I try some models. I have plenty of that kind of Ministorum looking models, and then we'll see how it works. Ooh, 2/3 of your Ecclesiarchy Kill Team kit bash are done, except the Gene Stealers. Very nice. Okay, ooh, A tier going 50%, slightly more. Sacresant should have 2 wounds like Crusaders. Yeah. There's a lot of people looking for the World Eaters half. Interesting. Because, no, that makes sense, yeah. Because people were not super fussed about the Ecclesiarchy stuff, but for World Eaters players, this is the first new thing you've got in 2 years. Lone Operative really strong? Yeah, and we might be able to assassinate something. I haven't been able to yet, but you could. It's exactly on 50%. Great, we'll put them in the middle. I think we'll go with A tier, because I don't think we'll have as many A tier units. We haven't got that much better since the balance patch. Give me them next unit you want to do. Could do Demonette heads? That's a bit creepy, but it's an option. Oh, Ecclesiarchy Kill Team, but they're Chaos Sisters. They did that on the Warhammer community for the Novitiates when they came out. It's like, hey, look what these look like. There's a creepy thing there. Let's do a vehicle. Let's do an Exorcist. All right. Let's do the Exorcist. How dare I say Sacresants are C tier? Well, they are. I can only tell the truth. I know people want them to be good, but they're not that great. Oh yeah, Novitiate heads are weird. They're a very awkward kit to put together, because you have to glue in the face. That's how that works. It's not really a head you put on. Exorcist. Alright. I'm still taking an Exorcist. Even at 210 points, I'm taking an Exorcist. They are getting too expensive. When it was 190, I was like, yeah, okay. When it was 170 maybe, and it was very similar points to the Castigator, I massively preferred the Exorcist. And people were like, why are you putting the Castigator so low? Because it's not an Exorcist. and because the Exorcist was only a few points more. It has a very good tank profile. The missiles are good as long as you get a decent number of shots. In Hallowed Martyrs, they're very good if they get damaged, because then you get +1 to hit. In the Army of Faith, you could spend 2 miracle dice on the damage dice for the Exorcist rocket launchers. So change one to like a 4, another one to a 5. That's very good if you get enough miracle dice. Or you have good miracle dice. Those are both difficult things. Army of Faith can help you get more miracle dice. There are 3 enhancements that can get you more miracle dice. Yeah, there are 2 stratagems that get you more miracle dice. Pretty good at getting more miracle dice. And then you'll want to take people like Junith Eruita, who gives you more command points, which you can turn into miracle dice. And Morvenn Vahl, who gives you more miracle dice. Yeah, I mean, you could use it with other Battle Sisters. So, on a Battle Sister squad, what loadout do I use? I tend to go for a multi-melter. If you don't have a multi-melter because it doesn't come in the box, either cut off the nozzles of the heavy flamer and glue on 2 melter gun barrels, which you do get in the box set, because you get the Dominion's melter guns, and if you're not using them for Dominions, use them on the multi-melter. So I use a multi-melter. I use a melter gun as well, and the Superior usually has the Condemner bolt gun. It's a bolt gun. It works alongside the other bolt guns, but it has devastating wounds and precision. If you want to do 1 extra wound to a character and be annoying, you can, if you need to just finish one off. Or in preparation for like a damage 2 attack coming, such as from a Palatine with the Blade of St. Eleanor. Because I don't think the Blade of St. Eleanor gives you any additional attacks or strength. Palatine. Let's have a look. Blade of St. Eleanor. Show me that. Strength and armor penetration. Yeah, no more attacks. No more damage. Okay, so yeah, it's a good way to do it like that. Alternatively, you can have the Battle Sisters with a flamer, heavy flamer, hand flamer. That works. Hand flamer is a good option. Yeah, you've got the silver stake for... No, not for punishing misbehaving vampires. That is not what it is for. Absolutely not. You fire them away from me. That's the plan. Yeah, oh yes, if you've got a miracle dice of a 6, it's good to say, oh, that enemy wound with 1 wound, that enemy vehicle with 1 wound left, it doesn't have any wounds left now. I've done that before. It's satisfying. Your opponent hates it, but it's satisfying. Yeah, the Exorcist is a great vehicle. Right, let's talk about the Exorcist a bit more. I do love my Exorcist. It works with Miracle Dice if you have Miracle Dice, so Army of Faith is good. Hallowed Martyrs is good because the Hallowed Martyrs can get you more Miracle Dice when you die from the enhancement. Chaplet of Sacrifice, I want to say it's called. Or is it a Saintly Example? Ah yeah, Chaplet of Sacrifice is reroll Miracle Dice. Saintly Example is you get D3 additional Miracle Dice, and then you can resurrect the character and do it again. You can get quite a few Miracle Dice from that. I would do that. Yeah, it is a random damage weapon, so you need Miracle Dice for it, so it's a good Battle Sister tank. It works with the army rule as we currently have it. Oh yeah, the metal one's a pain to keep together. I like it quite a bit though. I think it's really cool. Plastic one is more annoying to paint. I never like painting vehicles. But it's okay. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's just because the points are too much. 210 points is far too many. Bring it down to 160 and we're taking 3. But I don't think Games Workshop wants that, so maybe it'll be 180, 190 points. Then it'll be satisfactory. But people have gone with either take lots of them or take none of them. In the weird world we're seeing at the moment where we're getting, like, not traditional army lists. I'm seeing Hallowed Martyrs army lists that are Exorcists, Immolators, 1 squad of Dominions to split between like 2 Immolators, and then characters. Just loads of characters to complete missions. And it's so odd. It's like, where are the Battle Sisters? Where are any infantry units? And there's 1 infantry unit that's split in half. Otherwise characters. So they're looking a bit weird. Right, so yeah, I'm keeping that in B tier. Alright, give me shoutouts for the next unit you want to do. I'm just reloading the comments. Why is the comments not working? It'll come on. They'll come back on. Zephyrim, yeah, I think we've had a shout out for Zephyrim several times, so let's go with Zephyrim. I don't think there's ever been a time when we haven't used Immolators this edition. They've been great in the Index, they were great in the start of the Codex, they're still great now. Lots of people are taking Immolators. I'm not going to do any of the allies, since I did a video recently on Battle Sister allies as long as they have the Battleline keyword. So, Armiger Helverin, Armiger Warglaive, I prefer the Warglaive to the Helverin because of Melter and the combat ability. They will go wherever the Castigator is or higher than the Castigator, because they're cheaper than the Castigator. But we're not doing Celestians with guns. I haven't included them this time, because they don't exist even though they should. Zephyrim. I'm going to do Zephyrim. So, Zephyrim, there you are. You go into the holding area in C tier. Then I'm going to find my additional notes on Zephyrim. They did get a point drop. It wasn't too much, but it's good, and that's because they're trying to encourage people to do the Army of Faith. In the Army of Faith, a lot of the stratagems are auras coming off jump pack units, like the Zephyrim, like the Seraphim. So having more of them, it's encouraging to go, oh, well, since they're really cheap, since I have lots of them already, because I built the models, because I got the Army of Faith box, how about I use my Zephyrim in the Army of Faith? They're 80 points for 5, which isn't great compared to the Marines with jump packs at 90 points, but at least they're no longer more expensive than those same Space Marines. I think whatever the Zephyrim do, the Seraphim will do it better than the Zephyrim. Should I give my orcs a wig? Absolutely. There's a ghoul character in Age of Sigmar that has a wig made of intestines. It's very cool. You know, 60 jump pack sisters is possible. 3 squads of 10 Seraphim, 3 squads of 10 Zephyrim. Yeah, that'll work. I like the Zephyrim have lethal hits. I like that they have the option to get sustained hits as well. If you spend a miracle dice. If you have a miracle dice. They're kind of cheap as a deep striking unit that can drop down and complete actions. But I still prefer Seraphim for that because I could shoot instead. Or as well as, and I get to move afterwards. It can work. They get rerolls charges from their Zephyrim banner. Putting a character with them like a jump pack Canoness or Celestine, that can work. Because it's more about getting those characters into combat than it is getting the Zephyrim into combat. So I'd rarely see 10 Zephyrim together in a unit, and when there's 10 of them in together in a unit, they're 160 points. It is just double them as a squad of 5. So I'd take them as a squad of 5. Oh yes, of course. 36 with all the jump pack sisters, with Celestine, her 2 Gemini, and 3 jump pack Canonesses. Okay, okay. We're really wanting to get that many jump pack sisters. Oh yeah, 66, the Slanesh number. I see. Yeah, they're pretty good in the... Well, Army of Faith has the Lance. And you can have additional strength in the Champions of Faith, but then you've got to spend a command point to activate them for that. And then you've got to spend another spend a miracle dice to activate that. Then maybe another miracle dice to activate their unit ability. Are they going to be C tier because it's just an Army of Faith unit? No, I think they can do better. I think they're B tier. There's a lot they do. I think Zephyrim are not going to be as good as Seraphim though. So we'll put them in B tier. Give me another unit. Yeah, I think I'm happy with them in B tier. There's rarely a time where I think, oh, I really need a power sword, but wielded by a battle sister so it's strength 4. If I want more character stuff, I'll just take a Palatine and add them to any unit, and there's my combat punch. Potentially Sacresants, but not really Sacresants. Rarely Sacresants. Flying and having a power sword is not bad. The Rhino. Hey, there's 2 people for the Rhino. Alright. We'll do Rhino. The old reliable Rhino. I'm not going to put it in D tier. Let's find my notes on Rhino. Sororitas Rhino. It's a very good, cheap way to get a combat unit into combat without spending command points on rapid ingress from reserves, which is something you might want to do for like Repentia. If the enemy can't see you to shoot you, then come on from strategic reserves with rapid ingress, and then in your coming turn you can move your 7 inches, pretty sure they move 7 inches, which seems like heretical. That's an Eldar amount of movement. That's a Slaanesh amount of movement. Yeah, 7-inch Repentia move, which is odd because you would have thought Slaanesh things should all move multiples of 6, but never mind, never mind. Line of sight blocking, I think you can see through the bottom of it. There's holes in the bottom, so you may not be as line of sight blocking as you think. Let's see. It gets your short range guns into range, so the Bringers of Flame can work with the Rhino. You need to be within 6 inches to get that extra strength from the Bringers of Flame detachment, so moving up with the Rhino, which can advance and then drop the models out with a stratagem. Advance the Faithful, I think it's called, or Forward the Faithful. Generally mail the Faithful into a future position. Bringers of Flame. Carry forth the Faithful, there we are. Transports, you can disembark even though the transport advanced. Okay, you can't charge, but hey, that's not what we're here for. I wouldn't put any combat units in the Bringers of Flame detachment. I've seen so many people try it, and those units just underperform. You want more guns, and you want to get your guns close, and the Rhino does that. Yeah. It's a 100 killer missile, yes. If there's any overheating weapons, I don't take overheating weapons like plasma weapons. I'm like, oh, plasma? Ooh, that's not my thing. No. I will take a bolt weapon over a plasma weapon just to keep the Holy Trinity alive. That's the kind of player I am. Yeah, so you usually have to use vehicles to make the Sororitas Rhino work. The detachment only really works now if you can get it within 6 inches. You can't hoard battle scissors across the turret. You can't rush a horde of battle scissors across the table and have it work. I don't think. I'm gonna have to try that again. Firing deck is good if you want just regular battle scissors inside for a multi-melter or a melter gun. In fact, you could have half a unit that's split with an Immolator. Half of them go in the Immolator. They could then get back out first turn. The other half could be in the Rhino, along with, say, 2 lots of 3 Arco-Flagellants. It's an option. Then you could carry forth the Faithful. Because the Rhino has advanced, you can get out the Arco-Flagellants. That's fine. The firing deck can still fire because the detachment rule of Bringers of Flame is being able to advance and shoot. So even though the Rhino is advanced, it can still shoot. It's great. So, yeah, it's an A-tier unit. I think we've all agreed the Rhino is an A-tier unit. Okay, we've done 2 of the vehicles. Do we want to switch something else? Oh yeah, orcs and hazardous weapons. I fought against the mech one with the button, where it's like, oh, I can have a random ability, or I can have hazardous and an ability that I want. And they tended to go for that because of fun. Yeah. Penitent Engine, Imagifier, Palatine. Can we get a second on any of them? If anyone wants to put them again, that'd be great. And then I know that's the one we're doing next. Penitent Engine. Right, Penitent Engine it is. So let's bring up the Penitent Engine. The symbols are so very similar. There we go, that's Penitent Engine there. Slightly different looking to the Mortifier. If I put the Mortifiers next to it, you can see the one at the front has the Acanthrite coffin. It's made out of the same box. So because you can build that box as 1 Penitent Engine, 1 Mortifier, you can still take Penitent Engines and Mortifiers in units of 1, which I'm thankful for because I like to do that. That is the best way of doing it. Now, the Penitent Engine. Where's my notes on the Penitent Engine? I'll just have to do Control F. Penitent. And then now it's bringing up every time I said Penitent Host. There we are. Penitent Engine. They do die pretty quickly, but they rush in really well. Yes, of course, they're great in the Penitent Host. But you need to learn where to aim them, and then they can work in like any detachment. If they die, which they can often do for turn 1, because of their ability to advance and shoot and charge, because I'm pretty sure that their heavy flamers are assault. Yes, Penitent Flamers are assault. So they can advance, shoot, and charge. I would take the Buzz Blades that are strength 10. You can inconvenience tanks. Oh, they're twin linked, so you can definitely inconvenience tanks. Minus 3 AP, 2 damage. It's not that much damage, but you are going to hurt the enemy tanks. 4+ armor save, 6+ invulnerable save, 5+ feel no pain. It's not that tough because it's toughness 6 with 5 wounds. That's pretty easy for like a Space Marine captain to slap. But if we're able to hit them first, then they are dead. There's no way of using precision with them, as far as I know, but they're good. They're good. Yeah, I think they're screaming across into A tier. I think they probably are. Yeah, they work except in Bringers of Flame, where you already get the ability to like advance and charge. I would still include them in the Bringers of Flame detachment. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't put them in Bringers of Flame because we need the guns to work better. Having strength 6 flamers? Nah. And they have no AP, the Penitent Flamers, unlike actual heavy flamers. It is basically 2 flamers with an extra strength. Battle Sister stuff, Adepta Sororitas stuff often has 1 higher strength on the flamer weapons compared to like everyone else. So we get Miracle Dice from them, they cut stuff up well, they have flamers, they can advance and charge. Oh yeah. I'm putting them in A tier. Alright, what unit do you want next? Let's do a character. Give me a character. I saw Imagifier and Palatine already mentioned, if you want to mention them again. Oh, we're getting all the characters mentioned. Okay, there's Palatine mentioned twice by different people, so we'll go for the Palatine. 3 times the Palatine. Palatine comes up here. Has a bolt pistol power weapon or plasma pistol power weapon if you want to break the Holy Trinity, which you can do. It doesn't cost any extra points to be a heretic, to be lacking in faith. Thank you very much. Anonymous person. I think it's come out as anonymous. But thank you very much. Yes, if anyone else wants to use the Ko-fi link in the description, that'll fill up the bar at the top. It doesn't have to be filled by the end of the stream or anything, or by the end of the day. It's here like for another week. And all monies are very much appreciated. It keeps me going. It's what's kept me going for 2 years, and I expect to keep going for like another 2 years. So thank you for that. Oh, we're going to go play Pathfinder. Very good. Thank you very much, Lord Piecrust. Thank you for the 10 Canadian dollars. Oh, your Palatine is only taking a plasma pistol until there's points per war gear? No, have faith. Have faith. Right, what are we doing with the Palatine? She is the combat character, and she gives lethal hits to the unit, so she can work in a shooting detachment and be like a surprise assassin within that unit. Like the goblin with the goblins with the spinning balls. Oh, what were they called in Warhammer Fantasy? Goblins that ping balls around. They just fly out of units. It's like, oh hey, it's the goblins. Can't remember their name. So many times that happened. Fanatics, thank you. Night Goblin Fanatics. Yeah, crazy little guys. So we can be like surprise assassins there. They smash. They are the place you will put Miracle Dice. If you have spare Miracle Dice, you spend it on the Palatine. As soon as you're attacking a unit, you know that you can wound. So not like a strength 10, not toughness 10 tank. And then, I don't know, lethal hits, maybe. You want to be doing more mortal wounds. Mortal wounds are great. If you can wound the enemy, you can do terrible things to them. You can kill Carnifexes. You can kill any of the like medium to large monsters. Well, not large, but medium monsters. I've seen relatively recently, I'm not falling for that chicken on a raft. No. I've seen that they updated Mortal Wounds. I can't remember when they updated them. It says that when you do Mortal Wounds and you have Precision, any attacks that cause Mortal Wounds, those Mortal Wounds also have Precision. So in the Army of Faith, if you have St. Eleanor's Blade, that gives you Precision. Then you can kill like one of the enemy bodyguard unit. That will give you a Miracle Dice because of the Blade of St. Eleanor. You can put wounds on the enemy bodyguard until one of them dies, then put the rest of the attacks and then the mortals onto the enemy character, or just the mortal wounds. You could, whatever the bodyguard's toughness is, wound them a bunch of times and say, great, there's 4 wounds. All of them are going on your character. That is enough to kill your character because I have Precision. If you're not in the Army of Faith and don't have St. Eleanor's Blade, use Epic Challenge. That gives you Precision. Please, can someone type any comment just so that isn't left hanging there? Any comment, please. We love the Palatine. It's great. What do you think her power weapon is? Is it a power sword? Mine has a power maul because it's the older metal model. Thank you, random task. Oh, yes. Where do we team them up with? So, Novitiates are a great option because you get to reroll hit rolls of 1 all the time, and the Palatine hits on a 2+. So we're rerolling all hit rolls. Oh, if you can reroll all hit rolls, well, rerolling ones is rerolling all failed hits, technically, or rerolling all hit rolls because the Novitiates are attacking an enemy unit on an objective means you can try and get more lethal hits, not just from the unit, but from the Palatine as well. Yes, there's a lot of ways to spell St. Eleanor. Yeah, Dominion's worth of Stormbolters with lethals? That works. There's a different character I like to have for Stormbolter Dominions, but hey, Palatine's a good option. And if you put them in a transport, they can still scout. You get into combat, it's great. It works. Putting them in a Battle Sister Squad. All of the Battle Sister shots now have lethal hits. And you have the surprise, oh, you're going to attack me because you think it's going to be really easy to take this objective from me, because you have to, because I have high objective control. You can't just walk onto the objective, you need to kill me in combat. Well, now there's a Palatine smashing your face. Palatine is A tier. Hasn't gotten worse in the index. Actually, I don't think they changed. Oh, they got an extra wound. Yeah, you're an A tier unit. All the way. Great in every detachment. I think she can even work in the Bringers of Flame, because in the Bringers of Flame there is an enhancement, Righteous Rage. You have to discard Miracle Dice, but you get more attacks and more strength, which means it's easier to wound the enemy, and the more attacks you have, the more mortal wounds you can cause. That can work. Right, which character or anything else you want to do next? We've done Repentia, which may be in a comment about a separate thing. Agatha. Oh, Palatine and Dialogus is great in Battle Sister Squad, only combined in the Army of Faith, because then you discard a Miracle Dice, or spend a Miracle Dice. The Dialogus changes that into a 6. Then, because of the Palatine, it becomes a lethal hit, which means you could fire Overwatch with a Multi-Melter. That 6 is now... Ooh. Thank you, Longfin. Yeah, so you could fire Overwatch with a Multi-Melter. So you spend 2 Miracle Dice, which you can do in the Army of Faith. Both of them become 6s because of the Dialogus. Both of them auto-wound because the Palatine has lethal hits. Now you've hit and wounded. Presumably AP4 is going to get through the enemy armor. You're just rolling damage. That's good. Yes, that was just a final comment about the Palatine and other people. Alright, we'll talk about the Dialogus since I'm partway into talking about the Dialogus. Because that's a relatively quick one other than that. They work very, very well in the Army of Faith. I don't really like to do Army of Faith without them. They do work really well, pretty well, in others, because they are the cheapest character. They give you better leadership, and that is underrated. They can undo Battle Shock. The amount of times it's been like, oh, we're late in the game, I would like to pass this leadership test to hold this objective. I've only got once per game use of Insane Bravery, but it's okay. The Dialogus gives my unit better leadership and can undo Battle Shock. Magically. Cheapest character for actions and secondary missions. They can make the Miracle Dice work. If you have bad Miracle Dice, at least one of your units is being able to use Miracle Dice, and they're actually 6s. They're all 6s. Everything is a 6. You don't need to have the Triumph of St. Catherine to get 6s. Otherwise, you can discard Miracle Dice on the Hospitaller, on Morvenn Vahl, on the Palatine, and they get better. If you're using Miracle Dice on a unit with a Dialogus, it's a good Miracle Dice. And you can have her hang around alone, especially in the Champions of Faith, because there is one of the enhancements. It's the eyes. Isn't it the creepy eyes? No, Eyes of the Oracle is Precision. Again, that's a good one for the Palatine in the Champions of Faith. Mark of Devotion? No. Triptych of Judgment? No. Must be the Sanctified Amulet then. That's the other one. There we go. Sanctified Amulet, 25 points. Enemies cannot be set up as reserves within 12 inches of the bearer, so you could put your Dialogus on the home objective and prevent the enemies from arriving. It's wonderful. Used Aveline's book for your tabletop games. Oh, nice. Yeah, only true servants of the Emperor get a 5+ leadership. Well. Because the Dialogus will put you on a 6+, which is slightly better than everything else. Dogmata does the same, but we'll come to the Dogmata next, I think. Plastic Crusaders and unlegends them. I mean, we've been saying they're okay in Legends, we can cope. I know, every time I come away from one of these talks, I'm like, I have so many new lists I want to try again or do more of. Most of the named characters put you in a 6. Oh yes, of course they do, yes. So if you have Junith Eruita, that'll work. Yeah. So where we're going to put the Dialogus? I'll do a poll, because the Dialogus is an interesting one. Ask the question. I don't think I actually put questions for the other ones. Dialogus, A, B, or is it Champions of Faith only? They're not a D tier. The Dialogus is not a D tier. They can work very well. Secondary missions could change. They absolutely could. And it depends whether you're using a Crusade game, a White Dwarf Bunker mission, a mission from the Pariah Nexus Crusade pack, or the Pariah Nexus mission deck, or the Leviathan mission deck. I mean, White Dwarf stuff is valid. I know people are like, oh hey, these are in White Dwarf, therefore I'm not using them because I need to pay extra for them. Well, you need to pay extra for the codex. Well, you need to pay extra for the mission decks that come out if you want matched play as a game mode. Then it works only if you buy stuff. All of the rules, almost all of the rules you have to pay for. Legends you don't have to pay for, so it's weird that people think Legends are bad. Legends are free rules, so you should absolutely use them. Yeah, you can find them all online, but the cards, especially for the Pariah Nexus mission deck, they've been hard to get. They're okay, but it's extra expense. Alright, we're going to put her in B tier. And then we're going to complain about the Dogmata. So, Dogmata, hey, not the cheapest way to get a 6+ leadership, that's the Dialogus. The Dialogus makes your leadership... No, the Dogmata makes your leadership better. But the Dialogus can also un-Battleshock units. Dialogus is cheaper. Dialogus gives you good Miracle Dice. The Dogmata would have a place in like the Champions of Faith because... No, she'd only really work in the Champions of Faith if she had the keyword like the Biosanctum Brood Surge has Biophagus. Like, oh, anything you add a Dogmata to gets the cool extra bonuses, or can be, activated like that. In the Army of Faith, you can use the Dogmata by having the Divine Aspect Enhancement, which is only 5 points. Enemies within 12 inches have to take a leadership test, and if they fail it, you get a Miracle Dice. Are they also Battle Shocked? Don't know about also being Battle Shocked. Oh yeah, it's a Battle Shock test. Nice, but it's in your movement phase. In your movement phase after you've moved. Good. Okay. I mean, Battle Shocking enemies is nice, but that's not her ability. That's just something you can do better with her, because if you are within 6 inches, the enemies are at -1 leadership. Or you've got Objective Control 3 Battle Sisters, but at half the cost of a Battle Sister unit, it's not that great. She should be 35 points, 40 points at most. I don't know how she gets this far. She should have the Penitent keyword, and then, join a unit. That unit then becomes Penitent. She should be able to join Repentia. But none of these are happening. That would be a pretty easy fix of like, okay, she can now do something. And then I would try it, and we'd see what would happen. Right, do we want to switch it up or do we want to keep on characters? We do have a lot of characters to get through, of course. I'll go with any unit next. Any unit of your choice, chat. And if you're painting right now, what are you painting? Because I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to put on a Von Carmian stream and I'm going to paint at the same time, which is great. Do that. Now, are you painting Seraphim or do you want to talk about Seraphim? We'll talk about Seraphim. Building. Building is good. Ooh, Sanctifiers. Very nice. Right, Seraphim, the flying ladies with the pistols that have been around since 2nd edition and are one of the most iconic Battle Sister units. Seraphim. Flying girls. So the Seraphim, we're not as good in the Bringers of Flame because you need to be within 6 inches to get the Bringers of Flame bonus. So we can't arrive from Deep Strike and get that. We can arrive from Rapid Ingress, move, get the Bringers of Flame bonus, then move out of range again. So that can work. We don't have as many Miracle Dice, but we don't need them so much. Try them with the Exigency Stratagems. If you have that White Dwarf magazine, or if you want to watch my video on the Exigency Stratagems, then you can see, oh, wait, they're all on screen. I know what they do now. Great. But if you buy the White Dwarf, you get printout cards. So you can play with 2 people. One of them holds the White Dwarf, which has them all on like 1 or 2 pages. The other person gets the cards. Pretty good. Yeah, Seraphim are really fast. Have them in your deployment zone. You don't need to Deep Strike. A Deep Strike is always an option. In the Nakmud Crusade, it's more fun to Deep Strike, but you don't have to. You never have to. So you can move 12 inches. Oh yeah, and Bringers of Flame, you can advance as well. So they're very good in Bringers of Flame. Move, advance, shoot, move again. You can travel up to 24 inches in a turn, and you're still shooting at the same time. Yeah, great for mission play, great for dropping on the enemy home objective and using hand flamers to destroy them. Inferno pistols can be pretty good. I hate it when the enemy has an invulnerable save, that messes everything up. But if they don't have an invulnerable save, you can take out some tanks relatively well, depends on your Miracle Dice. That's what I would use Miracle Dice on, the wound roll for the Inferno pistol. It's D3 damage plus Melter, because I'm assuming you're going to be within 3 inches then. And you get +1 strength in Bringers of Flame. And if it's a good thing of like, if the enemy charges you or moves into you, fire the Inferno Pistols. Inferno Pistols are underrated. Probably, yeah, they're not as good as Hand Flamers. Take the Hand Flamers if you have Hand Flamers. They're alright. They got 20 points cheaper after the balance patch, which is great. That was intended as a boost to the Army of Faith. They can hit and run. They're speedy. They can get on objectives. They can complete missions. I don't think there's anything they don't do well. Thank you, Dragon. Oh, found me many months ago helping you to play Sisters. Oh, and someone else turned an awful Genestealer army into one that wrecked you. Well, thank you very much. I will add that £7 to the pile. Lovely. Ko-fi is my preferred way to get the money, then YouTube doesn't take a tiny amount, but however you want to do it, whatever's best for you is great. But yes, Ko-fi link is in the description, then it comes directly to me with no middleman. But regardless, yeah, so Seraphim, I think we're just going to say A tier for Seraphim all of the way. They're pretty good. Can they do anything in the Penitent Host? I mean, I'll still take them in the Penitent Host. They are very usable in the Penitent Host. Do they only get 1 stratagem? I've used them in the Champions of Faith because there is a fall back and do stuff mechanic. Oh, okay, Boundless Zeal in the Penitent Detachment is shoot or charge after falling back. I'm going to go with shoot because then I get to move a second time. So that can work. Champions of Faith. Yes, Indefatigable Dedication. If you're righteous, you can... Oh, you can just spend the command point. Shoot and fall back. Great. Yeah, just do that. Otherwise, you can shoot and declare a charge, which you might want to do. You blame me for 60 Battle Sisters. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, they die pretty easily is the unfortunate thing. So you have to keep them safe. You can't add any characters that are going to make them better. Like you can't add a Hospitaller, you can't add an Imagifier to make them more survivable. So you just got to accept they will be dying. But squads of 5, although expensive, they are Seraphim, 85 points for 5. That's not ideal, but it works. When they die, you get a miracle dice. I would only take them in units of 5, even in the Bringers of Flame, where, yeah, you've got shenanigans going on, and you've got Cleansing Flames as an option. That's now 2 command points, and you won't be getting the Bringers of Flame bonus from Deep Strike. But you could. If you have a Canoness with a jump pack, you could. But Army of Faith, when you can say, hey, I'm in the Army of Faith, look at all these auras I get. Shield of Faith to ignore mortal wounds, with a Feel No Pain aura. Light of the Emperor, the best one, so you can do... not the best one. Light of the Emperor stops weapon skill and ballistic skill modifiers for all nearby units. Blinding Radiance is the one I'm thinking of, so enemies are -1 to hit you. Works in shooting or combat. It could be army-wide if you have a unit of 10 spread out far enough, and your army's kind of bunched up. Yeah, they're amazing in the Army of Faith. They work so well in so many detachments. Oh, yeah. It depends what else is around. If it's like some Battle Sisters around, although it depends on the weapons. Like, enemy cultists are not going to shoot Paragon Warsuits, even though Paragon Warsuits are more deadly. They're going to be shooting and charging your Battle Sisters. The Seraphim, because they can kill the most, they can do like the most damage. But then you overwatch them with Flamers. So that's always an option. Overwatch is very overpowered. Yeah. Very nice. Alright, who do you want to do next? Any unit. We still have 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, like nearly half of them. I am okay to pick up the pace. To finish out the jump pack units, we can do the jump pack Canoness. That makes sense to me. Alright. Jump pack Canoness. I mean, we still have like another jump pack unit after that because we got St. Celestine. But jump pack Canoness. Jump. Canoness with jump pack. Right. They make your stratagems cheaper if you're in a unit that can fly. Or, you know, just generally. Because they can also operate alone. If you want to give them one of the enhancements that makes them harder to kill, great. Have them go around with... I'm trying to think of any of the things. There's some of the armors. You got Triptych of the Macarian Crusade in the Army of Faith. Your Miracle Dice are successful on saving throws, regardless of what the Miracle Dice number is. It's a good way to use it. In the Hallowed Martyrs, you're probably just going to die in the process. But you got the Mantle of Ophelia, so damage is changed to 1 for everything. Takes 3 still to take you out. I wouldn't bother with that. Bringers of Flame has the Iron Surplice, so you get a 2+ save and a 5+ Feel No Pain. Great. That's pretty good. Yeah, I can't do Kill Team Sanctifiers. They don't have 40k rules yet. What else can the jump pack Canoness do? So you've got cheaper stratagems, or free stratagems. In the Army of Faith, that can be one model just giving out a defensive aura, because they are a jump unit by themselves. You can fly around with a halberd hitting people, or you can put them in a Zephyrim Squad, use the power weapon. As a power weapon, it gets the bonus that the Zephyrim Squad has, because the bonus sustained hits or lethal hits, usually lethal hits, that the Zephyrim get, or both, if you spend a Miracle Dice, that works on all power weapons. So if the Canoness with Jump Pack has a power weapon and a Hand Flamer, then you get that bonus. If you don't have the power weapon and you use an Eviscerator or the Halberd, you don't get the sustained hits or the lethal hits. And the Canoness with Jump Pack still works in Cleansing Flames, making Cleansing Flames 1 command point. I think they're going to be an A tier unit. They can do so much in so many detachments. So let's go with that. I can extend this... Oh no, I'll go to 2 ranks. Like an Imperial Guardsman, if we need more space on any of the tiers. Good morning, Zerota. Nice to have you. Okay, what unit do we want next? Oh yeah, if you give her combat enhancements as well. I usually put my combat enhancements on Palatines though, and I rarely have a Battle Sister army without a Palatine. So combat enhancements tend to go on her. Imagifier? Yep, let's do the Imagifier. Right. Where is she? Spiky lady. Slightly spiky lady. Can delete tanks. Very good, very good. Don't need that. Imagifier, right. Imagifier. So you get an aura, and you get more, well, you get better miracle dice from units that die within 12 inches. So you roll a miracle dice. If you don't like it, you can re-roll it. This could be a way of being like, oh, I rolled a 4. That's okay. I want a 5 or 6, though. I'll try for it. Otherwise, I'm going to discard it elsewhere. Most of the time, I find that I don't get the best miracle dice even on the reroll, or I get a high miracle dice like a 6, so I'm not going to re-roll it, or I get a bad roll, but the Imagifier is nowhere near. So I only take the Imagifier in the Hallowed Martyrs detachment. Almost always. I'm saying only, but almost always. Good midnight anniversary. Wonderful. You were playing Wrath and Glory. Very nice. Ooh, got your Imagifier recast. Oh yeah, don't, like, buy the actual model from Games Workshop. Use proxy parts. Use any battle sister with a staff. If you can get the old metal banner bearer battle sister from 2nd edition, that's a cool one. Has a bolter. Has a banner. The banner looks better than the statue. I don't like the statue. That sword is at a bad angle for me. I don't like the pointy bit. I don't like the way it's pointing. So if you give the Imagifier Saintly Example, then when she dies, I think it is Saintly Example, Hallowed Martyrs, yeah. You get D3 Miracle Dice extra when that unit is destroyed. I can't remember the order for when you use her ability, if she can use her ability on herself. Yeah, I mean, you were destroyed within 12 inches of yourself. So I guess you could. You get the Miracle Dice instantly. So I suppose you could re-roll your own Miracle Dice and all of the Miracle Dice you get from Saintly Example. Unless someone knows, like, there's a strict order to how these things happen, I think it works. Because it is a thing on death. When a model or unit is destroyed within 12 inches. And you were in range of yourself. So that's a way to use the Imagifier. What else does the Imagifier do? You get a 2+ save. You put that on, well, not Sacresants, because they have a 3+ save, 4+ invuln, and the Imagifier gives you a 2+ save, 4+ invuln. So Battle Sisters, that works. Dominions at a push. But if you're looking at protection, she keeps losing out to the Hospitaller. Yeah. I don't know if this is a B tier unit or a C tier unit, because C tier, on account of Hallowed Martyrs, is where you need her. And pretty much nowhere else. Bringers of Flame, it was okay because you have Shield of Aversion, so you can be on a 2+ save, and then even though you got -1 like AP, Shield of Aversion puts you back on that 2+ save. So that's cool. Let's do that as a poll. Start a poll. B tier, C tier. Good defense on Retributors. Oh, that's too many points though. Because you're looking at a 65-point Imagifier on 125-point Retributors, and you're getting no additional damage output, and they're still dying pretty quickly. I think they're overcosted by 20 points. Yeah, I think that's right. They shouldn't cost as many points as the Hospitaller. I think that's my opinion. The Hospitaller is better and has been better since the Index. Okay, people are saying B tier, so we'll go with B tier. I was pretty tempted for C tier. Okay, next character, unit, or tank. What do you want to know more about? Yeah, you can get a lot of better things at 190 points. Like a tank, you can almost get an Exorcist at that point. Junith Eruita. Okay. Junith is the Pulpit Lady. Junith has some very nice heavy flamers. She is especially good in the Army of Faith. Also works pretty well in Hallowed Martyrs. Also works well in Bringers of Flame if you can get her flamers close enough. In fact, you can have a very good unit of her with Battle Sisters, which has the twin flamers of Junith Eruita. It has a heavy flamer, a regular flamer, well, Ministorum flamer, and a hand flamer from the Battle Sister squad. It's a lot of flamers. It's very good Overwatch. Overwatch is still one of the stratagems you can use. -1 to be hit, so you could think, maybe I'll put her with Sacresants. -1 to hit and -1 to wound. She's not that amazing in combat. She's okay. 4 attacks, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. It's pretty standard, like, Canoness weapon. Ministorum Twin Heavy Flamer is only 6 shots, is Twin Link to reroll wounds. That's okay. That's okay. She does give fiery speeches. Junith with Battle Scissors and Hospitaller is bread and butter. Oh yeah, you could also do... No, I wouldn't do an Imagifier in that unit. I would do a Hospitaller in that unit. That's a good combination. I like that. So -1 to hit and a 5+ for no pain. Yeah. Yeah. I can get behind that. I put Junith in Battle Sister squads, but I do so in the Army of Faith. I know you can spend a Miracle Dice to get a command point, but she has Leadership 6+, so usually you are able to get the Miracle Dice anyway, just by taking the Leadership test. The Army of Faith is very hungry for command points. She gets you an extra command point, and from those command points you can get more Miracle Dice. One of the stratagems that gives you Lance also gives you a Miracle Dice if you kill any enemy units. No, models. Any enemy models. The 3 of the enhancements give you more Miracle Dice, and Divine Guidance, which gives you extra AP, shooting or combat. If you kill an enemy model, you get a Miracle Dice. Junith's okay in combat. The Heavy Flamer is nice. You can have her work alone if you want. Then her Toughness 5 kicks in instead of the Bodyguard's Toughness 3. Do I want her just sitting on a home objective? That's usually where she ends up. But maybe with 5 Battle Sisters split by an Immolator. I don't like to do that though. She's 90 points. So I want to do something else with her. She's fine. I mean, the -1 to hit is good. Yeah, Junith isn't Hallowed Martyrs exclusive. All of the characters are not keyword locked to detachments. So the way it works in 10th edition compared to 9th edition, she is not our Martyred Lady, which is the Hallowed Martyrs themed detachment. You can use her in any detachment. You can have her with Celestian Sacresant Aveline, who is Sacred Rose. They can be in the same army, no problem. In any of the detachments. You could put them together in the Penitent host, and it still works. It's all allowed. Sit her in the midfield, smaller games. I could see that working. She is an 8-wound Terminator, essentially. 8-inch move. She's pretty good on the toughness stuff. Not as good on the hitting stuff. Which is kind of a shame. I think she's going to be a B tier, because I would like a bit more hitting power from my characters. But she does a lot of stuff, and is like an auto-include in the Army of Faith. You don't have to, but I would encourage you strongly to take her in the Army of Faith. Give me my next one. Finished off a Fire Prism. Okay, people are enjoying Junith. That's good. I like that. And smashing Eldar vehicles is good. I encourage you to do that. What did I kill a tank with? Yeah, that was a Squiggoth. A jump Canoness with the extra attacks and devastating wound almost killed a Squiggoth. They have a lot of wounds though. It had like 2 wounds left. Very cool. Of course, killed like all of the sisters nearby. Yeah, that was the Imagifier timer going off. Hospitaller time. Oh, Hospitaller time. We haven't done the Hospitaller? No, we haven't. Yeah, it's definitely Hospitaller time then. We've mentioned the Hospitaller a lot. Like, I'm thinking B tier, but not necessarily all the time. She struggles to be justified in like Battle Sister squads. Yes, you want her in Celestian Sacresants. 1 unit of Celestian Sacresants with her. Alternatively, you have a Palatine. Alternatively, you have a Canoness. You don't quite get 50% healing on a Battle Sister squad, but they cost the same points as half a Battle Sister squad. If you don't have any Miracle Dice to spend, you get 1 model back. That's difficult. A tier is possible. B tier is looking more likely. She needs to be with the Sacresants, and I feel that is like throwing more points to make a unit that is not great, actually work. But a Hospitaller in small games is excellent. Enemies really struggle to get through 10 sisters with a 5+ feel no pain. And then I'm bringing back models if you're not killing the whole unit in one go. Even like orc mobs that you get at that size game, it has to be a mob of 20 and you need to get lots of them in. Like with Green Tide, there's an a stratagem to have a 6-inch attack range rather than 3-inch like Pylon move, so you can get more around them. Even then, if you have a couple of sisters survive, you can bring back even more sisters, and that enemy unit is tied up for longer. As soon as you get to 1500 points, they become less effective. You do not need to bring a model back at 9 models to lose the detachment rule. Okay, yeah. Hallowed Martyrs, you get +1 to hit if you're below starting strength, +1 to wound if you're below half strength. So, the Hospitaller, you can return 1 model. You don't have to. I wouldn't often take her. When I did Hallowed Martyrs quite a bit, I still would take a Hospitaller because depending on the size of game. If it's a 1500 point game or higher, I don't take the Hospitaller. I was taking an Imagifier then. Or neither. Often neither. Alright, are we thinking A or B tier for the Hospitaller? Don't like having to use Miracle Ice to bring back D3? Yeah. It's a shame. It's one of the things I do spend Miracle Dice on. Palatine first, if I'm in Champions of Faith, we just spend them all on the Paragon Warsuits and then on the Palatine. That's why I don't have like a Hospitaller in the Champions of Faith, because I know I'm not going to have the Miracle Dice. So when people are saying, oh, Champions of Faith, 3 lots of 10 Sacresants with Hospitaller, I'm not seeing it working. It's far too many Miracle Dice to function. You run out. Okay, we go in A tier. There's our second rank. Wonderful. Okay, next unit, please. Good but not amazing? I think she's pretty good. I encourage you to take a Hospitaller if you have the points. Which tea is best? I mean, I like a lot of the breakfast teas. It doesn't even have to be breakfast, but I like them. Where do we rate Canis Rex in this tier list? I'm not going to do any allies or supporting units or Imperial Agents or any of the Knights or any of the Deathwatch units you can take as allies. Yeah. Morvenn Vahl? Alright. Yeah, I can go with Morvenn Vahl. Go Sanctum. Yeah, okay, we'll do Battle Sanctum. That's a quick one. So, Battle Sanctum. It's become more popular suddenly. People are like, oh, wait, that new statue I can get in the Kill Team set, that has rules? Yeah, it does. It's very expensive. Where are we? Fortification, so not going to move. 20 wounds, toughness 11, no objective control. 170 points, so almost as much as an Exorcist. And you can perform additional acts of faith if you have the Miracle Dice, if you're within 1 inch. And it's like, set up your own terrain. So if you were told, okay, in this tournament, we have very little terrain, fortifications are going to be a good option, there's a Battle Sanctum. Don't take it. Just don't take it. It's absurd. Yeah, its rules are it basically gives you the benefit of cover if you're on it. Or in it. Or around it. You can, but enemies can still shoot it when engagement range and don't count as being in combat. The model is equipped with nothing. It goes in D tier. Don't take it. I have the card one from White Dwarf, like 212. It's fun. I like having it. It's a terrain piece. It is not a part of my army. What are we doing next? Yeah, drop statues onto the enemy. Not bad. Or if they did more of an Age of Sigmar 3rd edition where there's fortifications and terrain bonuses that work more often, that could work. If there was a way to give it one objective control, it could hold the backfield, but wouldn't you want anything else to do that? Crusaders, Death Cult Assassins, a full squad of Battle Sisters? Yeah, no. Vahl into Warsuits next? Yes, let's do that. Once I find where my notes are on Morvenn Vahl. So another one to use Miracle Dice on if you want. She also gives you Miracle Dice. she has to be the model that kills off an enemy unit, so that is kind of annoying, but it's absolutely possible to do. Yeah, you can discard a Miracle Dice, and then you get 3 extra attacks. With Fidelis, the Heavy Bolter, which you often don't do, or the Lance of Illumination, which you often do, because then you get 8 attacks with Strike, which is Strength 8, Damage 3. Great, that's good. You could have her alone just to try and keep doing that, but you're looking at small point games then, because she is 170 points. Wow, that's the same as the whole Battle Sanctum as an option. So don't do that, put her with the Paragon Warsuits. In the Hallowed Martyrs, she can get back up on quite a few wounds. Let's see how many wounds you can get back up on Hallowed Martyrs. Divine Intervention, discard 1 to 3 Miracle Dice, roll a d3, add 1 for the result to 1. We had 1 for the result for every Miracle Dice you discard. Remember, you will get 1 Miracle Dice when she dies, so you can immediately spend 1 Miracle Dice that you just gained to use Divine Intervention, which is part of the reason I'm really glad Games Workshop was like, okay, we're going to undo the thing where you don't get Miracle Dice until the end of the phase, because abilities like this, stratagems like this, stopped working so well. So you discard a Miracle Dice. Yeah, she comes back on 4 wounds at most, then, if you're spending 1 Miracle Dice, which I think you have to. Yeah, you have to. So then she would be then she would be on half health. She'd get +1 to hit, which doesn't matter because she's sitting on 2, so it only matters if she was -1 to hit for any reason. If she was 1 wound fewer, then she also gets +1 to wound. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see. But you want it with the Paragon Warsuits, because Paragon Warsuits give you +1 to hit and wound against enemy vehicles. We desperately need that. Think of all the characters we've been talking about. Oh yes, slightly more defense on a really squishy army. That's not great. But with Paragon Warsuits, +1 to hit and wound against monsters and vehicles, meaning Morvenn Vahl gets +1 to hit against monsters and vehicles as well. In the Hallowed Martyrs attachment, which is probably their best attachment, because of the resurrection, more than anything else, Fight on Death is an option. Yeah, there's like 3 combat stratagems. Righteous Vengeance, reroll all hit rolls. Oh, we do that anyway because we have Morvenn Vahl. Yeah, Spirit of the Martyr to Fight on Death. That can be very useful. And Suffering and Sacrifice if there's an enemy that can't really hurt your Paragon Warsuits, but absolutely will get through, like your squishy battle sisters that are holding an objective. Suffering and Sacrifice. Yeah. I think, yeah, we're going to put her in A tier. So Morvenn Vahl goes into A tier. Now, with the Paragon Warsuits, in Hallowed Martyrs, you can never really get below starting, or you get below starting strength, but you can't get below half strength to get the +1 to wound. Because there's 4 in the unit. You lose a Paragon Warsuit. Great, you are below starting strength. You get +1 to hit, which you're getting against monsters and vehicles anyway. You lose a second one. You are at half strength. You lose all the Paragon Warsuits. Morvenn Vahl becomes a new unit by herself at starting strength of 1. So you are not below half strength or starting strength or anything until she takes a wound. Then she's below starting strength. When she has 3 wounds left or fewer, then she's below half strength, and you get the +1 to hit and +1 to wound. Yeah. I mean, we don't really care anyway, because we get +1 to hit and wound against monsters and vehicles. Use the multi-melters on the Paragon Warsuits, and you're getting full rerolls from Morvenn Vahl. I'm going to put the Paragon Warsuits in B tier, because... where are they? There they are. Because they don't work very well by themselves. You can have them by themselves, they just don't perform too well without Morvenn Vahl. If you're in the Champions of Faith detachment, which gives them bonuses, Champions of Faith with the Paragon Warsuits, then with Righteous Purpose, you get +1 move, very useful, +1 leadership, +1 weapon skill, and ballistic skill. So they're hitting on 2s, you know, as long as you spend a Miracle Dice on them. So you could spend a Miracle Dice on the unit that isn't Vahl's unit, and then they get bonuses, and then they're hitting on 2s as well, even if they're not attacking monsters and vehicles. That's very useful. They may be overcosted without Vahl. 220 points. I think I'd rather have an Exorcist. Depends how many Exorcists are already in my army. But Champions of Faith is where I would have, probably the only place I would have Paragon Warsuits without Morvenn Vahl. And if it's small game, you could get away with some Paragon Warsuits by themselves, or Morvenn Vahl by herself at 1,000 points. I wouldn't have both together at 1,000 points. That's too many points, and it's a little bit mean to be like, hey, here's 4/10 of my army in this 4 sister unit. Might not be too friendly. Or it could just get distracted, tied up, and now you can't do anything with it, and the rest of your army dies, and you lose because of victory points. Okay, I'm going to show that I have a Ko-fi. That's a link in the description that says kofi.com/VonCarmian-VTuber. It helps fill up the bar at the top. If you can tip me some money, I greatly appreciate it. Tip money is pretty much the thing that's kept me going for 2 years, and I expect it'll be the thing that keeps me going for much longer. And while I remember, how about we have some memberships? Boom, 5 people became members. So you get, you can use all of the little emotes if you want to use the emotes as you are members, and you get a mention at the end of the video. Well, not this video, but other videos that are scripted and have names at the end. So you are welcome. Happy anniversary to me. Some people have been saying happy birthday. Happy channel birthday, I accept. I accept that. Okay, give me more units that you want. Thank you for the heart emoji things. I like the little heart emojis. Right. Who are we doing? Castigated time? Yeah, okay. Oh, I've neglected the Immolator quite a bit. Which one will I come to first? I came to the Immolator in my notes next. So, Immolator. Immolator's there. Go sit there for now. The Immolator is great for the ability to split units, because then you get a combat unit of Dominions and a Dominion squad with some bolters and a simulacrum to sit on an objective and generate miracle dice, potentially. So half the Dominions stay at home, and then a Battle Sister squad, not being split at all, can be the one that moves up, stickies that objective, and stickies all the other objectives that they get to. That's a great way to do it. It's great for splitting up and transporting novitiates. Again, you get 5 infiltrating novitiates with a simulacrum, and you get 5 novitiates that can go in the Immolator with the Palatine. Then they get full rerolls to wound when attacking enemies on objectives, with lethal hits and all the shenanigans the Palatine can do. The Immolator has Twin Multi-Melter, so you can wound enemies more likely with the Twin-Linked rule. Having Twin-Linked on Multi-Melters is great on any of the Multi-Melter weapons, well, Melter weapons, because when we're wounding on 5s, which is often the case against like toughness 10 and higher, you want to get that reroll. It's very useful. I like all of the guns. I do like the heavy bolters for killing Space Marines. It's just not as good. Immolation Flamers I like because you know you're going to hit, and then you know you're removing enemies' benefit of cover for the rest of your army, which works great when you tie it in with other tanks like the Castigator and the Exorcist, which is where I've seen Hallowed Martyrs lists that are like 2 Immolators, 2 Castigators, and an Exorcist. Or 2 Exorcists. And it's like, remove cover, extra AP, hit them with the Exorcist. And it works. Because the Immolator is part of that chain. I do wish the guns had different individual points costs, so I could take like, okay, I want it for the splitting the unit, so give me the heavy bolters. I'm not too bothered about the multi-melters. But since they don't, take the multi-melters. Yeah, you need it for the Exorcist and the indirect fire. So, Flamers works. I mean, the heavy bolter on the Immolator can be used to get rid of the benefit of cover on a unit while the multi-melter shoots at something else. You just need to hit. And the heavy bolter, it's hitting on a 3 with 3 shots. You're likely to hit. It depends how, much you want to risk it. Maybe you do just shoot at an enemy to convey the benefit of cover being removed. I wouldn't. I would just fire the heavy bolter and hope you get at least 1 3+. And you can always use a miracle dice. You have a miracle dice of a 3, you hit. Great. Let's go. There it is, the benefit of cover removed. Yeah, so I would still take the melters over the flamers. I really like the flamers. Depends how many immolators I have. If I have like 3 immolators, I'll maybe take 1 with the flamers, because the immolation flamers are nice. 2d6 attack, strength 6 -1, ignore cover. Auto hitting. That can be a pain for a lot of enemies. And it's a good Overwatch. Yeah. We do need more anti-vehicle. It depends how much anti-vehicle you have elsewhere in the army. Probably not a lot. Even if you have Paragon Warsuits, Armigers, and Exorcists. Heavy Bolter Immolator was quite cheap at the end of 9th. I took them a lot because as soon as the Space Marines got a points drop on like everything at the end of 9th edition, those last 3 months were brutal for Sisters. I was taking the Heavy Bolter just to have like 3 Heavy Bolters killing Space Marines. Yeah, I think we're putting this in A tier because I can't think of any drawback. Okay, give me the next unit. Can you take 3 Armigers or 1 Paladin Knight as allies? Yes, it is one or the other. That is the Knight's rule. If you look at the Knight's index, it tells you that rule. Saint Celestine on Novitiates. I've talked about Novitiates, so let's do Novitiates. Novitiates. Where's my notes on Novitiates? Somewhere. Sisters Novitiate Squad. Here we are. It's a unit that can infiltrate, and that's good for blocking enemies from infiltrating as well. It stops enemy infiltrators. Infiltrating yourself means you could claim the objectives from the start of the game. It depends how cagey your opponent's going to be. Having Novitiates there will encourage them to get out of their deployment zone, and it's more easy for you to counterattack them with your short-range guns. Novitiates are one of the best units to split with an Immolator. Stick half in the Immolator with the Palatine. She loves the reroll to hit rolls, and also reroll charge rolls. The Novitiates have the same banner as the Zephyrim. You can reroll your charge rolls. That is very good. They have a Simulacrum as well, which generates Miracle Dice. They can have 2 Immolators, 2 Flamers I mean. They are usually a unit I kit out for close combat, because I know I'm going to put them with the Novitiate, with the Palatine. Novitiates with the Palatine. I'm trying to think of who else I've ever put them with. I've run them by themselves, just as an interference unit. But they're 100 points, and at that at that level, I go for Battle Sisters. For a better armor save, better guns, better abilities. They still have objective control 2, which is very good. I just don't think they compare too well as Battle Sisters if you're taking the ranged version. So I wouldn't. You can have some Flamers. Do it combat, 2 with the banner in the Simulacrum. You got the Superior, 2 Flamers. You got 5 combat units there. Combat Sisters. So if you're splitting them, you could have the Flamers and the Simulacrum in one place. Then have the Superior, the banner, and some other Sisters. Novitiates have been around since the middle of, well, pretty late into 9th edition, say 2 years into 9th edition. So they would have come out about 2023? No, 2022. Yeah, 2022 sounds right. Their rules came out, I want to say, in a White Dwarf magazine, because I remember like having to tear the page out and then stick it in my codex. Because they didn't come as like a separate detachable card thing, which they do a lot now in the White Dwarf, which I like. Having a mission every month, having a mission every month, and extra rules like the exigency stratagems, I think the White Dwarf is improving. I know a lot of people still won't buy it, but it's improving. They were, it was still lockdown when they first advertised. I remember that. Because I remember planning how I was going to turn them all into characters. They're a good unit to get if you want lots of characters, because you can definitely make a Canoness. Are they on screen? Yeah, you can see them. A Canoness, a Hospitaller, a Novitiate, a Dialogus. Lots of people. Oh, you gifted some memberships. Thank you, Persuasive Wink. Well, if we're doing that, let's have 5 more. Then we have so many people. So many people I'm going to have to add to the end of the videos, which is great. So all of these people are people who are contributing in some way, who are active. Great. And it's sort of partly random, I think. Some of the names I definitely recognize. So you're people who do things, who comment, who leave messages, who chat in the chat. You are appreciated. Right, I can't think of the way Novitiates are not A tier because of all the good stuff they do. Yeah, they're not battle sisters for holding objectives, but they're pretty close. So they're going to go in A tier. Okay. What else do we fancy? Yeah, they're still cheaper. Well, they have one worse armor save. Cheaper is cheaper. You somehow end up with an extra box of novitiates. Is it worth taking a second unit? I guess you could. I would not do more than 2. If you have one with a Palatine, I wouldn't really do one with like a Canoness or anyone else. You can add like most of the characters to them. Astrid and Agatha is an option, but you only get 2 attacks in close combat. I wouldn't bother with a Dialogus or a Hospitaller. Junith, maybe if you wanted to combat Junith with a couple of Flamers in a squad of 10. Ministorum Priest is an option, then the Ministorum Priest can infiltrate as well. You have more Flamers. Maybe that's another split by an Immolator thing. I would only do it if you're combining them with an Immolator or you want a lot of infiltrating. A lot of infiltrating can work. Right, Mortifier, Living Saint. I've got a couple of Mortifiers. Let's do the Mortifier. So my Mortifier. Chunky. I do go for the... how do you pronounce it? Anchorite? Yes, Anchorite Sarcophagus. Anchorite being a female hermit. Although it's a bit weird like that. Are they still available? I mean, the novitiates are often sold out. If you check places like the ones linked in the description, then they may have it in your area and cheaper than going through Games Workshop. There could be some novitiates available there. Right. Where were we? Mortifier. You stand there for a moment. Then I've got to find you in my notes. Mortifier. Right. They're cheap. They're a tough objective holder. What, 70 points? Slightly more than the Penitent Engine. But they do something a bit different. Because they have a 3+ save and the 5+ fear no pain, they can hold on to objectives a little bit better. The enemies can't just throw like 6 bolt guns at them and call it a day. If you think of the intercessors firing double shots, which I'm seeing a little bit of, like a squad of 5, it makes no difference. People are running squads of 10, and then it makes a bit of a difference if you also have the Oath of Moment for +1 to wound. At that point, they're still wounding us on 5s, and we're getting a 4+ save, and we have a feel no pain. It's still not going to take us out. I mean, you could use some sort of app that I keep pushing in many of my videos, and that could figure out if you can kill a Mortifier with 10 rapid firing. They don't always rapid fire, they always fire 2 shots. If you can take them out with 10 intercessors, getting +1 to wound, maybe you could. They get to fight on death all of the time on a 2+. So if the enemies come closer to take the objective, which they need to do, you have to get close to take an objective, then they have to charge you. Then they'll have to kill you in combat. Maybe they can do that, but you get to fight on death, and then your twin penitent buzzsaws can kill the enemy. I do take the buzzsaws over the flails. I know it's not as many attacks. You could have one of each, and then you can pick, but I like having twin linked. You only get twin linked if you have a pair. Strength 10, damage 2. It kills Space Marines. You fight Space Marines a lot, by which I mean Chaos Space Marines or Space Wolves, who are heretics and need to be put down. Yes, you get fight on death without needing to be in the Penitent host. They're versatile in detachment. I'm tempted to say A tier, or we can say B tier because they're not as good as Penitent Engines. Yeah, they're blunting charges, which is great. They can charge in themselves. They can't advance and charge outside of like the Penitent host. One of those things in the Penitent host is advance and charge, isn't it? Desperate for Redemption. +3 movement. Okay, that's different. Yeah, +1 attacks and strength if they're a Penitent unit. Oh yeah, Boundless Zeal. No, it's fall back. Lash of Guilt is advance and charge. Yes, there we go. So they can advance and charge in the Penitent host. Yeah, Penitent Engines are a little bit cheaper. So... And they can do almost all the same things. It's not fight on death, it's advance and charge. Penitent Engines are a bullet, Mortifiers are a shield that slays. Not that I'm getting into Deathwatch metaphors right now. So I think they're a little bit better. It may be like a toss-up. Yeah, they get advance and shoot and charge all the time. Okay, let's go with... I'll put 3 options. So we've got A tier if you think they're better than a Penitent Engine or equal to a Penitent Engine. B tier if you think they're not as good as Penitent Engines, but you still consider taking them. I'm usually like one way or the other, whether I want a Mortifier or a Penitent Engine, if it's one that I'm taking. Often it's neither. But if it's one, then I'm like, yeah, I've got the points, I'll take that one. And it's C, put it in C if you think it only works in the Penitent host and nowhere else. But I think it works in quite a few places. What are we on? 50% of... Alright, yeah. Mostly A tier. 45%. Ooh, B tier is suddenly taking over. People are going with B tier? Then A tier comes back. I'll leave that one for a minute. I'll put them in C tier for the moment, just as a holding place, while you figure that out with the voting. Because there's many more people. There's 100 people that can vote. So you may as well vote. Alright, and while we're doing that, please tell me what you would like to have as the next unit we talk about. I'll scroll to the waiting so you can see what we're still on to do. Many, many options. How we doing? Okay. Okay. Good, good. Let's try again with Castigator. Yeah, you mentioned the Castigator a few times. Let's have the Castigator. Okie dokie. Right, and we'll put the modifier in B tier. That's fair. Just looked like A tier was going to run away with it for a while. Right, the Castigator, so let's move them up to C tier and maybe leave them in C tier. People did not like that I put the Castigator in C tier like a year and a half ago. They have not forgiven me for that. Castigator is the one sister model you don't own? Yeah, okay. Anyone take Sister Amelia? Now, Sister Amelia is a one-off model. I don't think she has rules in 40k other than, yeah, it's a sister with a bolt gun. Use her as like a unit champion. As a like sister superior. Or as a Canoness if you really wanted. So, not a lot of people do. But yeah. Right, Castigator hasn't gotten any better, hasn't really gotten worse. Extra AP is very good when you're shooting. It was especially in the Bringers of Flame. And people are not taking the Bringers of Flame right now. Then the Castigator also went up at the same time to 170 points. Yeah. It took a lot of kicking. Extra AP in shooting is nice. You've got twin autocannons, which are rapid fire 4, so that is encouraging you to get close. Or you've got the battle cannon, which is the one I usually take. I'm partial to the autocannons. Like, it's either way, both of them are good weapons. Battle cannon is longer range. No, they're the same range, but more shots at longer range. You got blast if you need it. Strength 10. That extra strength is important. They're damage 3 either way. It pairs well with like other Castigators and the Immolator. And in the Army of Faith, you can get an extra AP. And doesn't really do anything in Champions of Faith. Bringers of Flame, it's not a transport. Let me have a look at what other notes I've got. Castigator. Right, it's more expensive than a Knight Armiger, and that is not a good thing. If our allies are better and cheaper, I'm going to take the Knight Armiger. Bonus AP is better now that the Armour of Contempt is worse, which changed in December. Ooh, that's a point. If it's just the one, because they're both 170 points, aren't they? Let me double check that. Paragon Warsuits, it's always alphabetical. No, they're 220 points. I would say the Castigator, because a Castigator will support your army better than the Paragon Warsuits. Paragon Warsuits can be annoying. Castigator has a battle cannon, can do a lot of damage. If the enemy fails a few saves and you fire at the right thing, it does a lot of damage. I've had a battle cannon take out like half a squad of heavy intercessors just because he rolled badly on the save. It was like, okay, take 6 saves. He failed 4 of them. That's most of the unit gone. And then everything else I fired at them got an extra point of armor penetration, which undid like the benefit of cover and the +1 to wound and other things. So it can be nasty, hitting a tank and like, oh yeah, there's 9 damage because you failed 3 saves. If the enemy passes all the saves, well, at least you got the ability on. It has a bunch of heavy bolters. Heavy bolters are annoying, so if you ever thought, ooh, maybe an Immolator with heavy bolters, take a Castigator instead because it's 3 heavy bolters. Yeah, the extra AP improvement is barely worth it over the Armiger Warglaive. So, Ray, if you were thinking Castigator or Paragon Warsuits or an Armiger, I would go for the Armiger. That's like... does the same job as Paragon Warsuits, but is cheaper. You finished printing your Castigator just now. Very good. Yeah, still don't know how to kill Space Marine profiles. As soon as you can get to damage 2, that's the important thing. You can't use Miracle Dice on Armigers. You can't really use Miracle Dice on the Castigator because it's all set damage apart from the Hunter-Killer missile. So there's not really a time when you're like, oh, I need Miracle Dice for this. Miracle Dice are for the Exorcist or for the Immolator where you've got damage rolls. Yeah, Battleline is good with the current mission pack. Well, Pariah Nexus, Campaign, Tournament, Matched Play, Mission deck. But yeah. Putting a Priest or Hospitaller Gal on this list. Okay, very good, very good. Right, what's my final thoughts on Exorcist? It's overcosted. When Exorcists were cheaper, I would always recommend an Exorcist. So I don't know if this is going to be a B tier. I think it's going to be B tier. If we put an Exorcist in B tier, then the Castigator is going in B tier as well. Because Armigers. Take an Armiger instead. You won't get a Miracle Dice when an Armiger dies. That's the main drawback. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, while I'm ruminating on that, any other thoughts for the next thing? Let me move to waiting. We have 8 units left. Which one do you want? Astrid and Agatha. Yeah, let's do Astrid and Agatha. So Astrid and Agatha, I've used a bit more in the Champions of Faith, when I can have Dominions with lots of Stormbolters. Do you like Devastating Wounds? Because Devastating Wounds are very important. If you can't get the AP off from other things, go with Devastating Wounds, or go with both regardless. Yeah, you can have, in the Champions of Faith, Suffer Not the Unfaithful for sustained hits. That's even more shots that can then become Devastating Wounds. It works okay. You can hit tanks, you can hit monsters like Tyranid Warriors with damage 2. That's pretty good. It relies on rolling 6s. And as soon as you add Astrid and Agatha, they can't fit inside an Immolator because they are 2 models. Your 10 sisters, like Novitiates, Dominions, Battle Sisters, are split into 2 squads of 5. Then you add characters to one of those units. Then there's 7 models in the squad. You can't put them in an Immolator. So you don't like split Astrid and Agatha into 2 separate units. They always stay together and they go with 5 sisters. So it can't fit in an Immolator. You need to have a Rhino if you want to be transported, which I often consider doing. I don't often with Dominions. I know Dominions can scout in a Rhino and give their character scout, but if I have scout and usually there's enough terrain that I can just get around it and then pop out at the enemy I want to kill. Or I go for enemy infiltrators with Stormbolters. I've had a lot more success recently by using Stormbolters compared to Meltaguns. But Meltaguns are usually the way to go. Devastating Wounds and Melter Weapons can work, but you need to roll 6s. Or you've got a Miracle Dice of a 6, but you need to roll a 6 to get that unless you have the Triumph of St. Catherine. And then spending it on Devastating Wounds, maybe not. Ooh, Adept roll shows Celestian Sacresants with maces and rerolling Canoness cooks the Space Marines. That can be pretty good. I would probably go with a Palatine instead because then you damage 2 from the Palatine and mortal wounds. Yeah. Oh, good. You tried Dominions and Stormbolters with Astrid and Agatha on my recommendation. It was great. I'm glad it worked for you. I like it when the things I say that work not just for me, but for other people. Good, good. Lethal hits. Well, you maybe want the... Okay, yeah, I see that, I see that. So Canoness with the maces, Palatine with the halberds, damage 2 on the maces. Alright, yeah, that works. Yeah, Retributor and Astronagatha is something people have done. It's just that's expensive, because Astronagatha, what, 85 points? Yeah, added to that, you're an Exorcist territory now. Get an Exorcist instead of Astronagatha and Retributors. Okay. I think they're a B tier, because there's not a lot you can do other than relying on rolling 6s. You get more miracle dice out of having them. I like that. That's why they go in B tier rather than there's like 1 or 2 detachments where they work. It's a B tier unit. Alright, what were we saying next? We're mentioning Retributors, so let's go with Retributors. Oh, you want the Triumph? Okay, someone say Triumph or Retributors, and then we have like 2 and 2. Or 2 and 1. What we're going to go for next. Problem with Sacresants is no idea where you put them so they don't die. Usually in a Rhino. Otherwise they stay at the back. Right, we'll do over the Triumph. Triumph, please. You said please. That's appreciated. Saying pleases and thank yous. Triumph of St. Catherine. Now, it is still very expensive. Very expensive. It's what? Triumph of St. Catherine, 250 points. The points hike that went on in, like, October last year is still there, and the ability is worse because it changes the miracle dice you get at the start of a battle round into a 6, rather than giving you an additional 6. Yeah, I would get an Exorcist instead of a Triumph. So the Triumph was one that's very good in the Penitent Host because you need to get into combat. The best way to get into combat is charging, and the way to charge successfully is to either be Zephyrim or Novitiate with rerolling banner, or you use a miracle dice for 6 on your Penitent units. Penitent units like to get into combat, so use a 6. The miracle dice power is less good. They're pretty decent in combat themselves. We've mentioned earlier on how you can add 2 Crusaders to them, and then they have a bodyguard and are less likely to die. If you split a Battle Sister squad, you could have half in an Immolator, half with the Triumph of St. Catherine. I don't think they're very necessary in the Penitent Host anymore. I have dropped the Triumph of St. Catherine, even when playing Penitent Host, and not really felt the loss. If you're doing a melee army, yeah, extra movement, extra AP is very good, because that's another thing the Triumph does. It's a speed boost because you basically always want the Fiery Heart bonus on. Fiery Heart is the name of the order that became our Martyred Lady after St. Catherine became the Martyred St. Catherine. It gives your units within 6 inches 2 extra movement. That includes the Triumph itself, and +1 to advance and charge rolls. Combine that with +1 to charge, we're getting into combat. In the Penitent Host, when you can advance and charge for a stratagem, for 1 command point, then Repentia are getting into combat. Gives you some other bonuses. You can do 2 acts of faith, so not as necessary in the Army of Faith, which is the one I tend to play a lot. I just need to remember all the miracle dice I'm getting. Or you got reroll to wound rolls with ranged attacks, or you've got an extra AP in close combat, which is good. Like, it's very good. It's just so expensive. Is the Triumph worth taking in the Champions of Faith for +1 melee and 3 times Sacresants? Well, I think you're taking a lot of Sacresants. If you instead think +1 AP melee and super speedy Paragon Warsuits, that's maybe the way to go in the Champions of Faith. But otherwise, Penitent Host's going to do it a bit better. Right. I think it's C tier at current points cost. Yeah, I agree. It's a C tier one. So let's put you in C tier. It's Penitent Host, maybe Champions of Faith. No, because that would work for any detachment, and it doesn't really work for the points. I'm going to say C tier. It's Penitent Host if you really want to. But I've dropped it, and I prefer having another Exorcist, because then the Exorcist are the shooting thing, they can stay on the home objectives and move up to one mid-board objective while the Penitent units move up. Very good. Do we say Retributors next? Because that was the other tied one with the Triumph. Retributors in the notes. Retributors, here we are. Let's move you from waiting to C tier for the moment. I think we all know where they're going from what we've said. Yeah, the Triumph kind of rule seems like a detachment rule more than a unit ability. Like, hey, at the start of the turn, pick one of these, 6 options? Or pick 2 of these 6 options to be active. I like that. That could have been one of our army rules. Detachment rules. It's kind of like the Librarius Conclave, kind of. Or it's kind of like any of the others that are like that. Like the Black Spear Task Force, Gladius Task Force. Yeah. Right, the Retributors. They're 125 points. That is more expensive than 10 Dominions. I know you're going to take Melter Weapons, so it's 8 multi-melter shots. So that's it's too expensive. That's 30 points per multi-melter, because we're not including the Superior, who doesn't really do a lot. 30 points per multi-melter. Oh dear, 15 points per melter shot. I would go with Dominions. Dominions do so much more. Reactive move, they can be split by an Immolator, they have a Simulacrum, they scout. It's a lot. They were good at 1 point the points, which was just before the Codex came out. Then I was taking them. Then I was taking like 2 units at most, but I was taking the units. Heavy melters, multi-melters. Heavy flamers, possibly, which I tried a bit with the Bringers of Flame, but then the Bringers of Flame changed, so you can't just come on from reserves, have 4 heavy flamers, and then be doing the big flamey thing where you get devastating wounds. Or was that stratagem? Cleansing Flames. Yeah. It was okay. So, Sister Squad over Dominions and Dominions over Retributors. Ooh. I mean, Sisters and Dominions are about equal. It depends what you need. If you need objective control, take Sisters. If you want to do a combo with 2 characters in one unit, take Sisters. If you want to have someone running around with melter weapons or do some shenanigans with Stormbolters, take Dominions. When I did my Sisters versus Dominions video, which is a whole thing, you just type in Sisters versus Dominions, which one's better, Von Carmian, it should come up. It'll go through the sort of rankings of it. Retributors, I don't consider, like, ever. I mean, what are we on for comparing to Repentia? 170 points for 10 Repentia, 125 points for 5 Retributors. I'm taking Repentia. It's a bit more. But if you're going to say, take Retributors with this character, no. I'm going to take 10 Repentia instead. Is 10 Arco-Flagellants with Priest plus Invuln for the whole unit enhancement in Penitent Host viable? It is viable. It's going to be... I don't tend to take that enhancement. Let me look at the enhancements I take quickly for Penitent Host. There's one I always take. Is it Vow of Holy Piety? No. Oh, no, it's the one that gives me extra miracle dice. Yeah, Psalm of Righteous Judgment. Discard a miracle dice each time a penitent unit is destroyed to gain a miracle dice worth a 6. Which I do. Yeah, 5+ invulnerable save. I don't think it's worth the 25 points. It's there if you've got the spare points. I would just go with the Priest and Arco-Flagellants. You don't need the enhancement. I think you'll be okay without the enhancement. Oh, Palatine and Repentia combo. That can work. It's expensive. You need it to work, so you also need a Rhino, so it gets even more expensive, but it can destroy things. Utterly destroy things. Yeah, I think if the Retributors were 105 points, like the same as Battle Sisters, then I'd be like, for the amount of weapons I get, yeah, I'll take the Retributors. But not at 125 points for 5. No. So, they were good in Bringers of Flame for disembarking really close. They are still okay. Even though it's 6 inches, you get strength 10 melter weapons, which is kind of what you need. They die very easily to Overwatch, though. If you're getting close to an enemy tank, they often have a lot of guns and will kill you. The stratagems in that detachment cost more. That's where I was using Retributors, the Bringers of Flame, and almost nowhere else. Being able to advance with them and still shoot is decent. but they're far too expensive. Choose Dominions, which even now I've got another 10 points cheaper for a squad of 10. So I'm putting the Retributors in D tier. I discourage you from taking them. Please take any other unit. 5 left. Which one are we doing next? Oh yeah, if you put the Retributors in an Immolator after splitting a squad, so half the squad that was split has to start in the Immolator, they can get out turn 1. The Retributors can get in turn 1. The problem is if there's any indirect fire. That can kill quite a few of them. Yeah. Ooh, Repressor. Yeah, we'll go with the Repressor. So, Repressor is similar in points to the Immolator. How many points more is it? Like 5 points more? Immolator is... yeah, it's 5 points more. That's not bad. It keeps the sisters safe. It has a heavy flamer, a twin heavy flamer. 6 sisters inside can shoot, which is, in a Dominion squad, all of them with the special weapons. And it can still scout. And it can have a Preacher as well, which can still scout. And then you get the Preacher's Vindictor Flamer. So that's Preacher, Vindictor Flamer. 4 Flamers from the Dominion squad. Sister Superior's Hand Flamer from the Dominion squad Superior. And that heavy flamer. And the twin heavy flamer. That is an insane amount of firepower. And all of it can be used on Overwatch. That's very good. It's a lot of flames. It's a lot of fun. The Immolator is more viable. The Rhino is much cheaper. But the special ability of the Repressor means that if an enemy tries to charge you, you can get back inside. Dominions are the unit you want in the Repressor, because the Dominions can use their own reactive move to get back inside the Repressor, or if they're going to be charged by an enemy that's like staying, oh, I'm just outside 9 inches, such as from a deep strike or coming from reserves, then you can do emergency combat embarkation with the Repressor. Before they make their charge move, get back inside the transport. So hang around that transport, and then the enemy can choose to charge something else, I think. Yeah, Party Bus of Fire. It's nice. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's not quite Immolator level, because the Immolator splits people and does other things. The Rhino is also cheaper. It's not as big a firing deck, but it is like half the price. So I take 1 or 2 Rhinos, because if you want to transport people, Rhino. Fun party bus for sure. Fire party bus. Ooh, welcome to Von Carmian's Elite. Okay. It would be so nice to bring it into tournaments. Then go to a tournament that allows legends. They exist. I have seen them. I have attended many of them. If it's like at your local club, because often you have like, oh, lots of us play 40k here. How about we use the new whatever expansion together? Do that. And then say, legends are allowed. So take it. You should take it. And in your casual everyday games, take it as well. Yeah, if they don't exist near you, ask people just, or, you know, you don't actually have to take their permission as required. That isn't a rule in this edition. It was in like 8th edition where it was like, okay, we discourage you from using these units because they're badly balanced by like their own admission, or they're not going to be actively balanced was their term. Yeah, so at that point, people just got it into their heads that you have to ask your opponent's permission to use these units. You should ask their permission to use like an all-night army, because that is so painful. Or an entire Genestealer Occult Horde list of 140 models. Legends, you do not have to ask permission. Demonofuge isn't the only lone op. You also have Sisters... yeah, Aveline, you've got the Assassins, both of which are legends, I know. So yeah, if you only play with friends, use legends all the time. Absolutely. You don't need people's permission. Okay. What do we got next? Let's show the viable list. 4 more things to go. What do we want? Yeah, 320 guard infantry in the recon detachment, so they all have the benefit of cover and +1 save if they're in the benefit of cover. Ephrael Stern. Alright, we got 2 for Stern, so we're doing Stern. I've been using Stern more. she is a decent assassin. Otherwise, she doesn't have enough attacks to really do significant damage. Only one of her attacks... where is she? Demonifuge. Only one of her attacks is anti-chaos. Anti-chaos is good. Like, a quarter of the armies you face are chaos. I'm sure Space Wolf should count there. Strikes first. Well, fight first is good. Being able to deep strike and just do some actions is good. Lone Operative makes it harder to be hit is great. Heroic Intervention for free, so you can get in there and assassinate characters when they're not quite expecting it. And Holy Judgment is just some mortal wounds. Aim at an enemy tank with the heroic, with the Holy Judgment, because they usually have the same leadership as everything else in the enemy's army. And if they're a Chaos unit, -2. So their Predator tank, they need an 8+ to not take 3 mortal wounds. And you have an Ablative Eldar you can just hold up and take some wounds on. Yeah, crazy lore. I've done a video on her lore, so you can look that up. Ephriel Stern, let's put her in C tier for the moment. So, against Chaos units, her precision is extra good. She can kill, like, Chaos Lords, sort of. It's too specific. But she's really, really good in the Hallowed Martyrs, because you can use Suffering and Sacrifice. That's a stratagem that means that enemy units need to put all of their attacks onto her. And you get fights first, so you can kill the enemy character. The enemy that fights back is less force multiply-y. They don't fight as good. And then all of their attacks go onto her, well, onto the Eldar model, and then you can get back up because Divine Intervention is a stratagem you have in the Hallowed Martyrs. Hallowed Martyrs is how we go generally with her. I've been using her in the Army of Faith in case I want extra AP. If I want to have Lance, and then I know if I'm going to kill an enemy model, I get an extra Miracle Dice. Either way. I've had fun with her in Nakmud with the Crusade rules to deep strike really close to the enemy and be like, oh hey, there's a nice, tasty, vulnerable character. And they do really good cleanup of all of those lone characters that are running around in the enemy's side of the board, completing missions, and it's just one person with 3 wounds, like a Commissar. You've got to kill them with someone. It might as well be the Demonifuge who can point Holy Flame at them and go, you are gone. I don't know if that actually came across on the audio, but yeah. Really useful for cleanup on that. If you're in Hallowed Martyrs, I recommend her. If you're not in Hallowed Martyrs, I think the Jump Canoness is going to be a better option. At 10 points fewer, she can do the same sort of cleanup. She can be a lone operative, and, well, she can lead units. And she's a saint. Yeah, she is. Ablative Eldar. Well, she's called the Heretic Saint, yes. Because of her association with Eldar and other chaosy stuff. Okay, so I'm going to put Ephriel Stern in B tier. She works. Her attacks being anti-chaos are a bit specific. If there's a chaos meta going on, get her in all of your detachments. Otherwise, get her in the Hallowed Martyrs detachment. I'm going to go with the Canoness next. Then I will do Celestine. Canoness. Regular Canoness. Okay, so she has 2 abilities. One of them makes stratagems cheaper. Fantastic for the Army of Faith and the Hallowed Martyrs when we want to use stratagems, and especially with the Army of Faith, it gives you Miracle Dice. I'm seeing a lot more people online playing the Army of Faith. I have a video on how to play the Army of Faith. I encourage you to look into it, because when we have less Miracle Dice, but still an okay amount of Miracle Dice, when you can play the detachment that gives you more Miracle Dice, that worked great. And if you have a lot of Miracle Dice from your units dying, from your Simulacrums actually working, from your stratagems going off and killing enemies, so not when you're fighting all enemy tanks, gets kind of awkward then. And it's happened to me quite a few times that I face a lot of big tanks or Chaos Knights and like, ow. So I'm not going to be able to kill any enemy models, so I'm not going to get more Miracle Dice. But if you have lots of them, spend lots of Miracle Dice on those abilities to say, hey, it's the Army of Faith. I can spend 2 Miracle Dice at once on a unit. The Canoness, yes, so good in combat. If you have the Blessed Blade, that has higher strength and lethal hits, or use the Rod of Office and the Power Sword. You can't have a Rod of Office and a Blessed Blade. If you have the Rod of Office, you have to take the power sword and the plasma pistol because of how the model is made up with stupid rules, but it has to be the monopose model if you take the Rod of Office. Yeah. And then it's the power sword and the power sword Rod of Office. Or you can have Blessed Blade and like Inferno Pistol or Condemn a Balkan. Both work. She can wander alone because she has a once per game ability to have a 2+ invulnerable save. That isn't so great when you're in a unit because you have to trigger it at the start of the fight phase. So we're kind of waiting on that being a good time to do it. If you know you're going to get smushed, you activate it, and it was always going to be that it turns out you didn't need it. You were going to survive regardless. No, the Null Rod is the one where you can only have the chainsword. So it's, if this model is equipped with a plasma pistol and power weapon, you can have one Rod of Office. If you have the chainsword, you can have the Brazier of Holy Fire or the Null Rod. Null Rod gives you 4+ feel no pain against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. They don't come up that often this edition. They did a lot in 9th edition. Or the Brazier of Holy Flame. It's a once per game flamer. Don't use that. Not that great. So I would go with Blessed Blade and an Inferno Pistol, or I would go with the Rod of Office and the Power Sword. She kind of needs her own video to explain a bit more about her. Yeah, you can have the the Brazier of Holy Fire if you want. It's just a bit weird to be like, I throw stick of fire. And then you don't get any other good combat weapon. You have to have the chainsword. It's got 5 attacks at strength 3. It's not doing much. It sounds decent against 1,000 Suns. Yes, it is then decent, but that is very circumstantial, and a Blessed Blade will cut through them much better because it's strength 6 and has lethal hits. Got a mix of them. Good. So yeah, you can use her in units or you can have her wander alone. I think I'll do a video, I don't know when, but at some point, explain the many ways to use the Canoness. She's an A tier for all of the versatility she can do for her decent price. She wasn't A tier in the index, the Palatine always beat her out. Now she's A tier. Okay, we've got 2 left, so we're going to do Celestine next. Now, did I call her Saint Celestine or just Celestine? Saint Celestine. Okay, the girlfriend of Inquisitor Greyfax doesn't really give much in the way of force multiplication. She slowly resurrects the unit, which means you need to be in a unit of 10, otherwise 5 Sisters dies too easily. We know Seraphim die very easily, Zephyrim are just the same. I know you get 2 extra Gemini, but do the Gemini have 2 wounds? They really should. But that doesn't mean that they do, because we know that the Sacresants don't. Saint Celestine. Yeah, the Gemini have 2 wounds. So, okay, you could take some wounds on the Gemini, and then instead, after you've taken casualties, bring back D3 bodyguards instead of the Gemini. Gemini got 3 wounds? No, they're on 2 wounds. 2 wound Gemini. Yeah. Demon Celestine. It's a pretty nice model. It was one of the first ones to come out for like the revamped Sisters. She can work pretty well alone, but as a force multiplier like in a unit, she loses out to the Canoness with Jump Pack now that the Canoness with Jump Pack exists. Certainly for Seraphim. I would put Celestine with Zephyrim because then you're re-rolling your charges. But then the Canoness can also work with the Zephyrim. You get the bonuses to the power weapon. Then you get lethal hits or sustained hits, which you don't on Celestine, but you would on the Gemini. So go with Zephyrim. If you're going to put Celestine in a unit, then it's probably 10 Zephyrim. Yeah, 160 points is a lot of points. You can have a Canoness with Jump Pack and 5 Zephyrim for exactly the same cost. Self-act shippers, yes. There's wound shenanigans you can do, because when all of her Seraphim or Zephyrim, or don't bother with them, when they're all dead, or you have just Celestine and a 2 Gemini alone, you can do wound shenanigans. I have done a video on this, I've done a short video on this, so if you look up my shorts tab and type in Celestine, it should come up. It was relatively recent. So that's where you can assign wounds to like a Gemini, lose the Gemini, just one of them, then put the wounds on Celestine, because as long as a Gemini is alive, Celestine has a 4+ feel no pain, in addition to a 2+ invuln save, in addition to a 2+ save, in addition to a 4+ invuln save. Then when Celestine has died, after all of that, feel no pain shenanigans, then she'll get back up, probably. And then you can take more wounds on like the other Gemini. And then you have Celestine on what, full health? Yeah. On full health. Great. A lot you can do with her. She's a B tier unit because she is a bit expensive. And if we put the Canoness with jump pack up there in A, she's going in B. Final unit is the Battle Sisters. Now, how am I going to find this in my notes? Battle Sister Squad. Good. This is the unit that can do decent fighting, especially killing chaff. They can do the thing where you get miracle dice. Great. They can do some damage, especially in the Army of Faith. Then you can do shenanigans with the Dialogus and the Palatine. Get those miracle dice for 6 through the melter weapons. They're a cheap unit compared to a lot of others. They have sticky objectives. You can keep hold of more objectives, even if you're not there. Even if the unit on it gets shot to death, you keep that objective. That's the most important thing. In the Pariah Nexus, there is the Battle Line bonus. They are the Battle Line unit in the Codex Adepta Sororitas. Other Battle Line units are available, as you may have seen from a relatively recent video of mine, but they are the best ones in the Codex. Oh. Yeah, the Pariah Nexus rules and mission cards. I really think in like the White Dwarf, they should say, hey, there's very little change in like the Nakmud competitive mission deck. So we'll just give you like the 10 extra cards to slot into your Leviathan mission deck. And there you go, it's compatible. That was where the exigency stratagems are. And, they come as detachable card things. You get a deck of those stratagems. Pretty fun. I recommend trying it once. So Battle Sister Squad does everything we'd need it to. Thanks to you, I've built and painted 60 of them. Ooh, is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. That's definitely enough. Oh, it's my latest shot on the Celestine. Very nice. I need to do some more of them. What's your favorite unit lore-wise? Probably the Battle Sisters, just the plain Battle Sisters. There's nothing where I'm like, ooh, that's amazing. Seraphim are pretty good. They get Holy Light, and so they use that, and they like doing a lot of hit and run. That's good. Nothing else is like, ooh, that really inspires me. Exorcist. Don't know if it has a great lore. So lore-wise, it's probably the Seraphim or the basic Battle Sisters. When you think of any of the novels that come out for 40k, it is the basic Battle Sisters that get portrayed. So I'd say basic Battle Sisters for the lore. Oh yeah, the Hospitallers have some grim stories. There's a novel, audio novel thingy. What's it called? Requiem Infernal. It's on my to listen to / read list. And Book of Martyrs, there is a cool Hospitaller story in that. So I recommend the Book of Martyrs as a place to go for learning about Battle Sisters. Right. We're putting the Battle Sisters in A tier because they are wonderful. And that is going to be our finished tier list. So if you've skipped to the end because you just wanted to see the tier list image, oh, too bad. You're going to have to go through whichever units you want to find out why it's there, why it's good, why it's not as good, which detachments it works best in. But there we go. I'm going to minimize that now. Oop. Okie dokie. I like Ephriel Stern too. Creepy lore. And it's not quite too consistent since it came out in a magazine issue Inferno. What, 1999? No, 2000-ish. No, I don't do an S tier ranking. I don't like S tier rankings of this. Do we know anything about the new kill team? No. You can put 4 in one half. You are not locked to exactly splitting the unit coherence combination. So, and you should. You absolutely should. You want 4 with bolters and the simulacrum separate, and then you want the 4 special weapons and the superior probably going in the Immolator. Yes. Okay. Do I know what to support in Rose versus Darkness, or Rose and Darkness? I haven't read up to that. There's so many things, like the Bloody Rose sequence of like short novels. I read like 3 of them, and they were like pretty good. They're pretty good. What's going to happen to the Boarding Patrol? Are they going to make a new box? I doubt it. I think Boarding Patrol was very much a 9th edition thing and didn't get the interest they wanted, and so they've repurposed a lot of that into Kill Team. But Boarding Actions has had a book. I did a review of the book. It was not a great book. Welcome, Big Friday. Welcome to being a Von Carmine supporter. Is there a way to access the free PDF of the old Ephriel Stern comics? Not that I know of. No, sorry. Oh yeah, the Taser Angel. Yeah, I think it's going to be a token model. So we don't know anything about the Kill Team. No stats for 40k yet. They usually come out relatively soon after the box. So it's on pre-order at the moment. Again, links in the description, so you can buy that potentially, if they still have any. So it'll be out in another week, so around Mother's Day in the UK, and then it may be shortly after that we get some rules. Then we'll see. Then I'll do a video on it, so you don't need to worry like trying to find it. I'll do a video on it when it's out. Yeah, it's out of stock in a lot of places. It happens often. Oh yeah, the Neuroloids. I know something about the Kill Team, and that is that I pre-ordered it today. Very good. Very good. Okay, I think we're very much at the end of stuff. I've had my rant about Legends at some point. I've had my rant about tournaments. I've had my mention of saying try Oath of Moment instead of Miracle Dice. It's pretty fun. And after about 3.5 hours, I think we're done. This has been a good stream. So I plan to do another stream about next week. Maybe Mother's Day, maybe not on Mother's Day. Then I will do a Genestealer Occult tier list. And we'll see how we do with that. Okay. Wonderful. This is a last call for anyone who wants to throw some tip money through the Ko-fi link in the description, kofi.com/VonCarmineVTuber, to fill up that 2-year anniversary bar. It has been impressive to get it halfway filled. Thank you so much for that. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you for the last 2 years. Thank you for enjoying things. Damn, you're so cool. Haha, shut up. Yeah, tip button is in the description. It's the first link that says how to tip money. Okay, you can all leave. And have yourselves a wonderful... Aww. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. That was a manly giggle. Okay. Ooh, I posted a homebrew attachment in the Discord. Oh yeah, there's a Discord I have. You can join my Discord. That is also linked in the description. Excellent. Right, I'll go to the goodbye screen, and then I will see you next time. Have a great day of 40k. Stream ending. Stream ending. Stream ending.